bado lakini prayer.
Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society, good of all human lives upon it, and the just government of its people, we beseech you to look with your abundant favor upon us, your servants, whom you have entrusted with the performance of such important trust in this community. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our attention and deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this region, and of those whose interests you have committed to us. Amen.
Item number 2 on the order paper, communication from the chair.
Okay. Can we skip that item? I will communicate at a later point.
We proceed to item number 3 on the order paper, administration of oath.
Honorable members, I rise to notify you that Honorable Dr. Vincent Biruta, the new Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of Rwanda, is present and would like to take his seat in this House. However, in accordance with Rule 5 of our Rules of Procedure, Honorable Dr. Biruta can only take his seat in the Assembly after taking the oath of allegiance to the treaty. Rule 9, Sub-Rule 2, to an extent, Rules of Procedure specifically states that when a new member first attends the House, other than at the first sitting of the new Assembly, the member shall be introduced to the Speaker virtually by a member of the Assembly who shall state the name of the new member. The Speaker shall then administer the oath or affirmation of allegiance to him or her. I therefore request any member who know Honorable Dr. Vincent Biruta to introduce him to me to enable me administer the oath of allegiance.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I have the honor to introduce Honorable Dr. Vincent Biruta, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation from the Republic of Rwanda, and Chair Council, and who is going to take an oath as the next official of the Assembly, EALA, East African Legislative Assembly. I beg to speak.
Procedure chair.
Akija kimsiho cha
Oh, okay.
Kimes.
Okay.
Kija kimes.
Clarification. You're supposed to ask clarification.
Go ahead.
I, Dr. Vincent Biruta, do affirm that I will give true and faithful service to this assembly, and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the East African community, and will preserve, protect, and defend the treaty for the establishment of the East African community as by law established. So help me God.
We proceed to item number 4 on the order paper, appointment of standing committees by way of motion.
Yes, before then, thank you, honorable members. I want, on my own behalf and on your own behalf, to congratulate the new ex-officio member of this House, Dr. Vincent Biruta. Dr. Biruta is a senior member of the cabinet. He has been a minister for a very long time. But most importantly, he was, for 8 years, the Speaker of the Rwandan Senate. So he comes to our house with a vast experience, not only as a senior politician, but also as a former speaker who understands very well the workings of parliament. So he will be one council member who understands the predicament of the House and the Speaker. So Dr. Biruta, you are most welcome to EALA, and maybe before I proceed with the other matters on the order paper, you may wish to say a word to the Assembly.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members of the East African Legislative Assembly, I wish to thank you for welcoming me to this parliament, and I look forward to working with all of you and push forward the agenda of this assembly and, of course, the interests of our East African community. I thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item was already called. The clerk, what is the next item?
The next item would have been the communication from the chair, but the appointment of standing committees by way of motion.
Honorable Wanjiku. Honorable Wanjiku, Muhia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me in a minute to congratulate and welcome the new member of council to the EALA Assembly. Motion for resolution to appoint members to standing committees as per Rule 79, 80, and 83. Whereas Article 49(2)(e) of the treaty provides that the Assembly...
Before you proceed, Honorable, your motion will have to be seconded. Seconders? Yes, Honorable Abdikadir, Honorable Jematia, and all members whose hands are up. Honorable Wanjiku.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. For purpose of procedure, allow me to repeat. Whereas Article 49(2)(e) of the treaty provides that the Assembly may, for purpose of carrying out its function, establish any committee or committees for such purpose as it deems necessary, and where Rule 79 of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly provide that the Assembly shall appoint relevant committees necessary for the efficient discharge of its function, and whereas under Rule 80 of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly, the House established 6 standing committees, which are 1. Committee on Accounts, 2. Committee on Agriculture, Tourism, and Natural Resources, 3. Committee on Communication, Trade, and Investment, 4. Committee on General Purpose, 5. Committee on Legal Rules and Privileges, 6. Committee on Regional Affairs and Conflict Resolution. Nothing that in accordance with the provision of Rule 83 of the Rules of Procedure, the members of the Standing Committee shall be nominated from among the members of the Assembly and shall serve for a term of 2.5 years. Recalling that on 30th January 2018, this Assembly suspended the application of Rule 86 to enable the Assembly to establish committee with 18 members. Aware that the current membership of committees of the Assembly was constituted on 30th January 2018 for a period of 2.5 years, whose tenure expires on 30th July 2020, thereby creating a legal basis to constitute new committees for the remaining period of the 4th Assembly starting from 1st August 2020. Whereas in accordance with the provision of Section 4B of the Administration of EALA Act 2012 and Rule 85 5B, the Commission shall nominate members of standing committees, noting that the Commission, at its meeting held on Monday, 29th June 2020, did nominate members to various standing committees. Now, therefore, this Assembly do hereby resolve as follows: that the following members be appointed to respective committee as nominated by the Commission. A. Committee on Accounts. The membership shall be Honorable Kennedy Kalonzo, Honorable Abdikadir Aden, Honorable Simon Bogua, Honorable Thomas Dut Gatek, Honorable Dr. Wada Jeremiah Odok, Honorable Dr. Gabriel Garang Aher, Honorable Engineer Mohamed Munya, Honorable Happiness Lugiko, Honorable Adam Kibisa, Honorable Gasinzigwa Oda, Honorable Karinda Francois Xavier, Honorable Barry Muyabo Jean-Claude, Honorable Bide Mukasa, Honorable Kasaba Mathias, Honorable Susan Nakauki, Honorable Leontine Nzeimana, Honorable Marie Claire Burikukie, Honorable Pira Clever Rurakamvie. B. Committee on Legal Rules and Privileges. 1. The membership are 1. Thomas Dut Gatek, Honorable Kennedy Mukuria Ayerson, Honorable Guy Road, Honorable Simon Bogua, Honorable Kennedy Kalonzo, Honorable Mpuru Aburi, Honorable Mariam Usiyawa, Honorable Guaru Magembe, Honorable Adam Omar Kibisa, Honorable Kalida Francois Xavier, Honorable Rutazana Franzine, Honorable Uumukiza Franzois, Honorable Bide Mukasa, Honorable Namara Dennis, Honorable Rose Akor, Honorable Victor Burikukie, Honorable Moma Mo Karerwa, Honorable Sophie Zazimana. C. Committee on Agriculture, Tourism and Natural Resources. The membership shall be Honorable Dr. Wada Jeremiah Odok, Honorable Gabriel Garang Aher, Honorable Gabriel Alak Garang, Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim, Honorable Anjiko Mohia, Honorable Jematia Sergon, Honorable Abdallah Makame, Honorable Josephine Lemoyan, Honorable Fancy Nkuhi, Honorable Ambassador Ndagiza Fatuma, Honorable Dr. Rijima Pierre Celestine, Honorable Umukiza Francois, Honorable Chris Opoka Okumu, Honorable Kasamba Mathias, Honorable Susan Nakauki, Honorable Jean Marie Muhirwa, Honorable Marie Claire Burikukie, Honorable Pira Clever Rurakamvie. D. Committee on Regional Affairs and Conflict Resolutions. The membership shall be Honorable Gabriel Alak Garang, Honorable Gideon Gatpanzro, Honorable Dr. Ann Ito Leonardo, Honorable Dr. Oburu Oginga, Honorable Adan Nur, Honorable Mpuru Aburi, Honorable Fancy Nkuhi, Honorable Guaru Makembe, Honorable Josephine Lemayan, Honorable Ambassador Dagiza Fatuma, Honorable Rijima Pierre Celestine, Honorable Bahati Alex, Honorable Mugenyi Mary, Honorable Rosa Kor, Honorable Opoka Chris Okumu, Honorable Victor Burikukie, Honorable Moma Mokarerwa, Honorable Christopher Duayo. Committee on General Purpose, the membership shall be Honorable Guy Deng, Honorable Kennedy Mukuria Ayason, Honorable Kim Guy Root, Honorable Jematia Sergon, Honorable Wanjiko Mohia, Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim, Honorable Mariam Usi Yaya, Honorable Dr. Abdallah Makame, Honorable Pamela Masse, Honorable Mukiza Francois, Honorable Rutazana Franzine, Honorable Bahati Alex, Honorable Namara Dennis, Honorable Msamali Paul, Honorable Odongo George Stephen, Honorable Jean Marie Muhirwa, Honorable Alfred Ahi Gejeje, Honorable Sophie Zazimana. And finally, the Committee on Communication, Trade and Investment. The membership shall be Honorable Gideon Gatfal Pro, Honorable Dr. Ann Ito Leonardo, Honorable Guy Deng, Honorable Dr. Oburu Oginga, Honorable Adan Nur, Honorable Abdikadir Aden, Honorable Engineer Mohamed Munya, Honorable Happiness Lugiko, Honorable Pamela Masi, Honorable Gasinzigwa Oda, Honorable Dr. Rijima Pira Celestine, Honorable Barry Muyabo Jean Claude, Honorable Odogo George Stephen, Honorable Msamali Paul, Honorable Mary Mugenyi, Honorable Christopher Duayo, Honorable Leontine Zezimana, and Honorable Alfred Ahi Gejeje. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move.
Thank you, Honorable Wanjiku. Is there any more justification you want to make? Or the motion is already justified because of the presentation? Is there any more justification you need?
No, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Now, Honorable members, I now propose the motion. And the motion before the House is that this House, in accordance with the provisions of Section 4B of the Administration of EALA Act 2012, Rule 79, Rule 80, Rule 83, Sub-Rule 5B of the EALA Rules of Procedure, this House do appoint members to serve on the standing committee. Debate is open. Yes, I don't see any member seeking to debate the motion. I now put the question that this House, in accordance with the provisions of Section 4B of the Administration of EALA Act 2012 and Rules 79 and 80 of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly, this House do appoint members to serve on the standing committees. Those in favor, raise your hands. Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor, have it.
You're not voting for or against.
Thank you, honorable members. Wait, clerk, you wait a moment. Okay, go ahead, clerk.
We proceed to item number 5 on the order paper, adjournment.
Okay, thank you. So before then, honorable members, I wanted to congratulate you all for this big accomplishment that we have done as an assembly. One of the most important activities any assembly can perform. Because as you know, parliaments work through committees. So it's been very important that we have been able to appoint members to our respective standing committees in a very efficient manner, the way we have done it. So I congratulate you all, members of the commission, who worked with me to formulate the formula for this activity, chapters who worked very well, harmoniously to make the proposals, and that is why this activity is being accomplished without problems the way we have done. I also want to thank you for taking the advice we gave you in the commission. The formula we asked you to consider when you are proposing the members to the committees, which is going to help us to avoid clashes of activities like we have been having before. It's always been a very difficult situation to plan for committees in the commission when we have overlapping memberships and the activities clash. So we thank those who came up with the formula, and I thank you that even before we adopt it in the rules, you have considered it when you're appointing members. I want to point out that the tenure of the present committee membership will be at the end of this month. So the committees we just appointed today will become effective, operational on the 1st of August. So why did we have to do it now? We had to do it now because, first of all, we may not have another plenary in between. 2, in the next few weeks, we shall have a planning meeting. And a planning meeting means we plan what the committees will do for the next entire financial year. So we thought we needed to do this activity now, but the present committees will continue to function as they are until the end of this month. And we shall be releasing to you the decision of the Commission on the schedule of election of committee chairpersons. Why do we have to do it now again? It's because the new committee chairpersons must be part of the planning meeting that shall come in the next 2 weeks. We shall have both the outgoing committee chairpersons and the incoming committee chairpersons so that there is that harmonious transition. We cannot have a situation where the outgoing committee chairpersons are planning for the new committees for the entire year. It is for the new committees to plan what they want to do. But again, because this activity will be performed within this month, the month of July, then the outgoing committee chairpersons must also be there. So for the first time in our planning committee, our planning meeting, we shall have both the outgoing chairpersons and the incoming chairpersons. Finally, I want to thank, because I may not have this opportunity again, I want to thank the committees and the work we have done so far. Under your able leadership, it's been commendable, and we thank you, and we wish you well, those who are coming in, because you are going to start from a strong base that the committees we elected 2.5 years ago have done so far. Thank you. Honorable Aden, you asked to say something?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move a notice of a motion for resolution of the Assembly urging partner states to honor their financial obligations to the community. With your permission, I have such motion to move, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, so before I go for the stage where it has to be seconded, because I have to make a decision whether it is a kind of a motion I can entertain under the rule without notice, maybe a brief justification for me to have an idea of where you are heading.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Let me say that I am moving under Article 30D for a rule, a motion without notice, and I want to say that I think I'll go then straight into the motion to say that that whereas Article 132 of the treaty provides for the budget of the community, which includes all organs and institutions of the community except the self-accounting institutions, and whereas under Article 132.4 of the treaty,
you don't have to move. You don't have to read the whole motion. I already have the idea of where you are heading. So are there, now I can call for secondment.
Yeah.
Seconders, Honorable Jematia, Honorable Dr. Oburu, Honorable Wanjiku Muhia, Honorable Kennedy Kalonzo, Honorable Abdikadir, you can proceed with the motion.
Thank you very much.
And let me remind you, honorable members, that we are within the precincts of Parliament, and we just voted our rules, and this process is being live streamed. It is live streamed, so we don't know how many people are looking at us and what we are doing. So let us observe the usual decorum of the House in whatever we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to move this motion. I believe our clerks will be momentarily screening this motion on our screens for us to see. Honorable Speaker, as I had started doing, whereas under Article 132.1 of the treaty provides for the budget of the community, which includes all organs and institutions of the community, except the self-accounting institutions. And whereas under Article 132.4 of the treaty, the budget of the community shall be funded by equal contribution by partner states and
sorry for interruption. Honorable Christopher.
Yes, Mr. Wright, Honorable Speaker, we faced a technical challenge. We didn't follow what happened. So can perhaps somebody brief us where you are and what has been said?
Yes, because
So I don't know. What was the last event you were able to see?
Actually, Mheshimiwa Wanjiku was still reading the names on legal account. Legal, yeah.
legal.
Yes, so the proposed list of members proposed for the committees, as they were brought in by the chapters, were read out and the motion was adopted by the House. So now where we are, Honorable Abdikadir is moving a motion without notice, and he just started. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, and sorry for that inconvenience.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, for the benefit of members, the motion I'm moving is on the screen. Whereas Article 132(1) of the treaty provides for the budget of the community, which includes all organs and institutions of the community except the self-accounting institutions, and whereas under Article 132(4) of the treaty, the budget of the community shall be funded by equal contribution by partner states and receipts from regional and international donors or other sources determined by the Council. Grateful to the several development partners that support various activities of the community. Recognizing that in accordance with Article 132(7), the financial year of the community runs from 1st of July to 30th of June. Concerned that although Regulation 23(5) of the EAC Financial Rules and Regulations provides that the contributions from each partner state shall be considered due on the first day of July in each financial year and shall be paid within the first 6 months of the financial year, partner states continue to default and some remain in arrears throughout the financial year. Aware that as of 10th June 2020, the status of contributions and total outstanding obligations of the partner states is as follows. Republic of Burundi, overall outstanding contribution to EAC main budget, IUSEA and LVA4 stands at $15 million, $089,355. Republic of Kenya, overall outstanding contribution to EAC main budget, IUSEA and LVA4 stands at $, actually this is an overpayment by $1,975 US. That's the outstanding, if were correctly said. Republic of Rwanda, overall outstanding contribution to EAC main budget, IUSEA and LVA4 currently stands at $2,788,429. Republic of South Sudan, overall outstanding contribution to EAC main budget, IUSEA and LVA4 stands at $27 million $803,700. United Republic of Tanzania, overall outstanding contribution to EAC main budget, IUSEA and LVA4 as at now stands at $4,201,845. And the Republic of Uganda, this again in respect of main budget, IUSEA and LVA4, most of these actually for Uganda is with regards to IUSEA and LVA4 stands at $1,598,670. Further concerned that the non-remittances of contributions by partner states is adversely affecting the activities of the community, including this assembly, which are supposed to be funded by the contribution of partner states. Aware that under Article 143 of the treaty, a partner state which defaults in meeting its financial and other obligations under the treaty is subject to such sanctions as the community may, on the recommendation of Council, determine. demoralized by the fact that although no partner state has complied with the commitment to remit funds to the community by the 31st December in each year, the Council has not taken any action to ensure that partner states consistently meet their financial obligations under Article 132 of the treaty, including recommending sanctions as required by Article 143 of the treaty. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Assembly as follows, that in accordance with Article 49.2 and 132.4 of the treaty and Regulation 23.5 of the ESC Financial Rules and Regulations, the Assembly urges A. Partner states to regularly and consistently meet their financial obligations in accordance with Regulation 23.5 of the ESC Financial Rules and Regulations. And B. The Council of Ministers to 1. Direct partner states to immediately remit the outstanding contributions under Article 132.4 of the treaty. And 2. To coordinate and ensure that partner states remit the contributions to the community budget consistently by 31st December of each financial year as required by Regulation 23.5 of the ESC Financial Rules and Regulations. And 3. Expedite the process of establishing a sustainable funding mechanism for the community. And 4. Recommend to sanction partner states which default in making contributions required by Article 132.4 of the treaty. Honourable Speaker, as I move this in further justification to this motion, Honourable Speaker, as you are aware, the larger part of the operations of the community, including that of this Assembly, has seriously been affected by the lack of resources for the community. For the reasons, and lack of the resources is for the reasons that I have stated in this particular motion. Of great concern, Honourable Speaker, is that a lot of the emoluments for the community staff, including members of this House, stand unpaid until now. And knowing the situation, Honourable Speaker, whereby the staff of the community, because of their commitments, and the members as well, because of the many financial commitments, given the situation of the COVID-19 that we are in right now, those outstanding dues become crucial and very, very critical for the survival, for the basic survival of the staff and members of the Assembly, and that is in general for the whole community. Honourable Speaker, as Chair of the Budget Committee, I stand deeply concerned that to this day, the members of the Council have not tabled the estimates of the community to the Assembly. You know that today is the 29th day of the month. Tomorrow marks the end of June. Under the treaty which I have here, Honourable Speaker, it is emphasized that this process is supposed to end tomorrow. Under the laws which we have, the Budget Act, the rules of financial rules and regulations, all of them require, and even our own procedural rules require that at least the Assembly will have 30 days within which to conclude that particular process. Honourable Speaker, I have said this before, that knowing that it is under very difficult circumstances, and any finance person who has dealt in budgets before will tell you that looking at the budget of the organs and the institutions of the community within 13 days was already very constraining. To make matters more worse, Honourable Speaker, we are going into what I may term unprecedented times, whereby now we are ending the financial year and there are no formal estimates that have been brought in the House. I have looked back at the history of the House. Yes, there has been a situation where the passage of the budget was delayed. But, Honourable Speaker, that situation was different from this because then at least the estimates were before the House. So somebody stopped that process. But for now, we have a situation where we have the financial year has ended and there are no estimates before the House. It is unprecedented. I am glad that Chair Council is seated before us. I beg to ask, why is the community in unprecedented times? Why is it that the council is not looking at the plight of the people who serve the community, the staff of this community, the members of this assembly, who have tirelessly worked throughout this COVID-19 process period, and all this stuff, the emolument due to, and I use the word emolument, and I beg to restrain colleagues as you contribute to this motion, that is the right word to use. That emoluments that are due, rightfully due, for the members and for the staff of the community have not been paid up to now. This is what my motion begs seeks to ask. Honorable Speaker, I want to bring to the attention of the House, as well as I want to conclude, that this House adopted a report which was tabled by the Committee of General Purpose back in Arusha, which was initiated by a petition that was brought by the East Africa Community Association of Civil Society Association, who petitioned the situation that I am again bringing a motion on. They petition on their situation of the community with regards to its financial status, and wondered and asked whether this was not going to cause the collapse of the community. As a result of that, the House adopted a resolution of a report by the community urging Council to take specific action. May the Council Chair, as he contributes to this report, and the members of the Council who are here today, also update the House the status as to which that particular report is. Honorable Speaker, I want to say that formally having moved this report, and having urged and emphasized and re-emphasizing again that we are not in ordinary times. Honorable Speaker, we are aware of certain procedural administrative processes which were initiated to solve some of the problems that I am mentioning here, with the issues of payments of emolument of staff of the community and members of this assembly, which was issued to do with borrowing from the gratuity account as we wait for the remittances to come in to meet some of these expenses. Honorable Speaker, may the Council Chair tell us today herein, I don't know what actions that they want to see that is happening to the staff of the community or members of even the assembly. Why is it that that administrative process has not been concluded up to today? Why? I beg to ask why. Honorable Speaker, I beg to request Honorable Abdullah Makame, who was the seconder of this motion, foremost seconder of this motion, to now formally second my motion. With your permission, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, if you can display the citation of the motion for me to propose it on the screen, because I don't have the actual document. Okay. Honorable members, the motion before the House, where is the citation?
The title.
The motion before the House is for the Assembly to pass a resolution urging partner states to honor their financial obligations to the community. Debate is open. Honorable Dr. Makame. Then Honorable Musamali. Let me do a list. Is there anyone else? Honorable Kasamba. Honorable Jematia. Then we shall pick Honorable Rosiako. We shall pick another list after that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to add my voice on this very important motion, which is indeed overdue. But, Mr. Speaker, before I start airing my concern, I first of all like to welcome the Right Honorable Vincent Biruta, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Rwanda, to the House. We are very glad to have him with us here. We met him when he was holding his previous position, and we are very glad that he's coming to join us and to bring us with his wealth of experience and wisdom and expertise. We congratulate him for the appointment, and we promise him maximum cooperation from us. And Mr. Speaker, after saying that, Mr. Speaker, is that I'd like to say from the outset that I'm seconding this motion strongly because, Mr. Speaker, the operations of the community are being adversely affected by either delayed remittances or withholding remittances altogether. Mr. Speaker, the EAC Treaty provides that partner states are required to contribute equally to the budget of the community. And there are 6 partner states to the community, and there are 12 months to the year. So, which means if you want to look at an average, you'll say each partner state finances 2 months of the operations of the community. Now, if one partner state either withholds remittances, it means that we will be surviving on a budget for 10 months. And if 2 partner states withhold remittances, then it will be that we are surviving on a budget for 8 months. And that is what we have seen. We are trying to run community activities on a budget short of budget which has been approved by this House. It is unfortunately becoming the tradition that we are not receiving remittances, and it is becoming the normal ordinary. Now, unfortunately, it's not supposed to be the normal ordinary. Actually, Mr. Speaker, if you go to Article 5(2) of the treaty, which mentions about the stages of the EAC integration, commencing with the customs union to the common market and then the monetary union, all the implementation of this, there are some crucial activities which are being suspended, not because the Secretariat or other implementers of those activities want to suspend those activities, but it is because of lack of funds. Mr. Speaker, this House was credited by, we credited ourselves, and East Africans credited the community when we passed the bills to enact the East African Monetary Institute, East African Statistical Bureau. You'd like to know, and all of us would like to know, where is the Monetary Institute? It is on paper. Where the Statistical Bureau? It is on paper. And we enacted those bills so that the Monetary Union action plan is realized as envisaged by 2024. Sadly, Mr. Speaker, last year, the Council pronounced that it is not possible for that 2024 target to be attained. The reason being, these institutions have not been established. We haven't started implementing the convergence. So, we are really making our primary business of the community, of the integration, of implementing the stages of integration a surplus business, because we are not providing the finances. And how can we, if the community is not financed, how can we achieve those activities? We've engaged members of staff and other people to be in service of the community. These people offering the services to the community on a contractual basis, they have their emoluments. Now, the people are doing their work to the community, but unfortunately, the emoluments are not coming. When you inquire, you are told that there is no remittances. So what should we do? We came with a temporary proposal that we should borrow from the gratuity fund. And borrowing from the gratuity fund would maybe temporarily solve the problem that we're having now, but we'll be creating a new problem when we erode the gratuity funds And when the people who have finished the contract claim their gratuity and they find that there is nothing for them to be paid, so they'll have to go to the East African Court of Justice and sue the community that they had their funds in the gratuity fund and they are not paid, they have not been paid their gratuity on time. So what is the problem now? It is the issue of remittances. It has become severe and chronic. The Chair of General Purpose, Honorable Abdul Kadir Aden, pointed out that even now, we made noise in the assembly, we raised concern in the assembly, but also our stakeholders, the civil society organization, they also saw this problem and they came in. They petitioned you, Right Honorable Speaker, and they informed you that they are very concerned because for several years, the civil society platform by the Secretary General was not conducted. And when they inquired from the Secretary General response was that funds were not available, much as the activity is budgeted. And we know that the treaty establishing the East African Community recognizes the private sector and recognizes the civil society. This community is inclusive and is an inclusive integration. We have all those players on board, and it is important that we move together. And they also are the representatives of the people.
Yeah, Dr. Makame, you needed to conclude. You needed to conclude because many members.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what I would like to say here is that we are really affected by this lack of non-remittances. So where partner states don't remit their dues. The financial rules are clear that the dues should be remitted by 31st December. Most partner states do not comply to that. But also, we should have cleared by now. But now we're having some partner states having arrears. So, Mr. Speaker, it is in order if the Council really picks these recommendations we're having, and they should recommend to the summit so that action is taken in accordance with Article 143 and 146 of the treaty. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me the opportunity to contribute to this important motion, and I beg to move. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Makame. Honorable Msamaji.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the members. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate, to add my voice to that of my colleagues, to congratulate our minister, who is also the chair of council, for taking up his position in the House. He's swearing in at the right time. Now that he has taken oath, he will be able to sit in the House and take notice of everything that is happening in the House and the challenges that we are going through. Right, Honourable Speaker, I support the motion from the onset, which has been moved by Comrade Abdul Kadir. Honourable Speaker, we have a big problem, as you are aware, as a community, and EALA in particular. Why EALA in particular is that for us, we do not depend on any money that comes from donors. It is basically the money that comes from remittances from the partner states. So it is a EALA which really has a serious challenge when it comes to delays and or failure by partner states to remit monies to the community to run the activities of the community. Honourable Speaker, the motion is to urge the partner states to honor their obligations to remit. But Honourable Speaker, if I'm not mistaken, this is not going to be the first motion, neither the last motion. We are going to, as long as we are still in the situation we are in, we shall continue having challenges that we are experiencing. And therefore, we needed to come up with a sustainable solution. But before I go to that, I want to, in the immediate, now that we have the chair council, that he gets together his members, his council, and sort out the immediate problem. Members have not been paid their emoluments for close to 3 months now. So it is 3 or 4 months now, Right Honourable Speaker. The proposal to borrow from our gratuity, it should be put on higher agenda, because the money which we are borrowing, even EALA members are partly contribute to that money. So it is not only those who say that staff are going to retire and they are going to have problems with the money. So, Honourable Speaker, I want to appeal to the Chair Council that he takes keen interest in this matter and address the welfare of members. We have a serious problem. On the issue of urging partner states to remit money, yes, like I noted earlier, that I support the motion. So I also want to urge members that let us support this motion to urge the members, but the partner states, governments, to remit their obligations. But, Honourable Speaker, as we talk, you are aware that it is not only regionally now in East Africa, but globally we are experiencing a serious problem caused by the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. So many of our states, first of all, because of the measures that were taken to curb the spread of the virus, it has affected the revenue mobilization. So that means that even when we urge them, I'm sure they are all willing to honor their obligations, but the challenges their governments are also facing are enormous. So therefore, I support that we partner states honor their obligations. However, in the immediate where they have challenges that they cannot mobilize money to remit to the community, Chair Council, mobilize your colleagues and we borrow money to solve an immediate problem. Now, lastly, the long-term solution. It is ideally a song, Right Honourable Speaker. The solution we are talking about now is to urge the partner states to remit money. Yes, they will remit the balances which they have, because many of them have paid 60%, 70%, 80%, others even in 90+%. So, but when you look at those balances, Honourable Speaker, even if they were all paid 100%, they are not going to solve the problems of the community. As you are aware, our budget is $100+ million. But if all of the partner states paid 100% of their obligations, they only form up to about 45 to 49% of our budget, Right Honourable Speaker. So, what is the long-term solution? The long-term solution is something we have talked about almost throughout. But why do I repeat it? It is because we have the Chair Council right now with us, who is a very experienced East African in the administration of the community and the revenue mobilization, Honourable Speaker. The issue of sustainable funding for the community, it should be taken seriously by the Chair Council. The reason is that as we talk now, Honorable Speaker, we approved a supplementary to support the consultancy services for the consultant to come up with a sustainable funding mechanism for the community, Honorable Speaker. But remember that this consultant is not the first one. The community had hired, I think, two other consultants before this one. What does it mean? That means what happened to the first two consultants? And what do they do when they are talking of which activities do they really do if we have been hired to come up with a sustainable funding mechanism? And then you come up with a report, and in the report, there is no sustainable funding mechanism, which called for a second consultant and even now a third consultant. So I want to urge the Chair Council that he should take keen interest in this particular consultant who is now carrying out this activity, such that when they come up with a solution, the solution should be aimed at addressing the problems which we are the financial problems which we are going through, not just eating our money and then they come up with a report which cannot address the problem which we have, right, Honorable Speaker. So I want to end by saying that the Chair Council and his colleagues, members of Council of Ministers, is that they should ensure that the current work being undertaken by the consultant to come up with a sustainable funding mechanism should be open and involve as many stakeholders as possible, such that we can all together come up with a solution to our problems. Because those consultants, we have left them to do the work alone, and they have not, the first two, and they did not come with a solution. So this third one should not just take the money. In fact, if it were possible, we would pay
if you can
these
conclude,
consultants.
Samari, please conclude.
Yes, if it were possible, Honorable Speaker, we would pay these consultants after they have tabled their report, and if the report has a solution. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Samari. Honorable Jematia. I can't. Okay. Yes.
I'm here.
Yes. After Honorable Jematia, it is Honorable Kasamba.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I want to thank and welcome the new member, Mr. Vincent, Honorable Vincent, and I've actually liked the experience that he's going to bring to the House, and especially to Mr. Speaker. And I want to welcome him more so that he can help us as a chair now of the council, so, as we deliberate on most of these issues that is coming up. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, I want to say that I am supporting this motion in total, and I want to also say that members that have spoken before me have actually had their points, and I was just going to add part of it, and I will be very specific, because in the motion, Honorable Abdikari have clarified very basic and pertinent issues on matters budgets, especially the estimate. As he said, there's a lot of challenges, yes, we are facing as a community, but there's one problem that has been posed during this time of lack of tabling of the estimates in the correct time. It's very worrying, because if this is a trend that is going to be precedented, it's going to be one of the problems that might not be solved anytime soon. Because if we encourage a situation like this, and members of council should be very, very categorical and give us reasons why these things delayed in the first place. I sit in the budget committee, and I am so worried, because as much as we don't have money even to do the work, but we have the will to work even for free, which we have been doing it. But when the members of the council are not able to sit and organize themselves and bring this budget estimate in time, it means that we are encouraging all of us to go and behave the way we want, and we might even refuse to pass the whole budget in the end anyway, because of the precedent that they have shown us. I want to encourage the new member, the chair of council, that you have a lot of work ahead of you. And please, we as members are asking for your full support, and we want a lot of understanding from you, because even from the sittings, I can only see one member of the council, that is Honorable Dumaru. I don't see any other members of the council, meaning we are actually talking to ourselves as members. Even as we had and bring these motions on the floor all the time, asking for these members of the council to do their work, we still find them not doing it because they are not even present in the first place. So that is one of the points that I want us to be considered through the chair of the council, that we have a lot of problems, but one of the biggest problems is through the council itself. Mr. Speaker, I also want to bring to our attention that Honorable Member Abdikadir pointed very clearly that we have a lot of issues on remittance from partner states. But I would want to pose a question as a member of this club, that what are the remedies, or what are the solutions that happens when member states don't remit in time, or they don't remit at least for our financial year? We have been asking this question all the time. And this is something that we wait until the end of the financial year, and then we look like we are shocked that we are suddenly realizing that we don't have money, and then we go back and looking for all the solutions. That is a shortcut or short-term issues ways of solving the problem. But every time we sit down, we have never been told through the SG, who is the secretary of the community, who actually misses all the time, and he doesn't give any reason why he misses very important issues like this one. Like now during the budget, it is very unfortunate that we are not able to see the SG to explain most of these things. I want to say all the time that we are very quick to ask the member states to remit in time, and sometimes push our members, like our colleagues, to ask the member states to go and push the head of states to give us money. But again, whose work is this that is supposed to whip members to pay in time and to give reports and for us to work within the community? Because the community relies mostly, if you ask me, through the secretariat. It was even very shocking, Mr. Speaker, to note that the SG himself missed an all-summit virtual meeting that was held some times back. So first of all, he misses the sittings in the house, and more so misses a virtual meeting, which is supposed to be, you can do it anywhere, whether in your house, whether in the street, you can just park your car anywhere and do a meeting, a whole summit meeting. Our SG misses. It shows that the buck stops somewhere within the secretariat, where we are here to complain, fine, that we don't have money. But who are these people who are supposed to be whipping members to pay in time? That is one of the things that council chair should help us and understand this. More so, we have been working as members through our committees and even plenary. But Mr. Speaker, I want us to look at it in a very critical way. We don't have money. And I've been always telling people, personally, I'm very broke, but I'm willing to work as a citizen of East Africa. But there are situations where we have done it before. We have borrowed money from the gratuity, and it has been paid back. As we sit here, I thank most of the council members who had agreed and signed, until at a certain level where one of the members also did not append the signatures. This is our money too. I am sure, even if it gets eroded, it is going to be, as long as I'm a member of parliament in East Africa and I'm still alive, I will still need that gratuity money. But again, if I don't use it now, or if I don't borrow it now, there will be no point for me to wait until, maybe I will not be there, because I am lacking. Basically, I cannot do anything. And because I want to still work for the community, I still urge the members of the council to help us so much to allow us to use this money now. It has been used before, and it has been organized and used before, and it is very possible for us to do it.
And it was refunded.
And it was refunded, and it is still our money, as Honorable Mr. has put it. This is still our money. I know members of member states like Burundi and South Sudan are still going to pay in time, but depending on the situation, and all of us agree that we are in a pandemic situation, we need to have one agreement that this is something that we need as urgent as possible. Not only us, even our workers are also, in dire need, everyone. And we cannot hold back. And we are asking one member council who has not appended his signature to kindly, please, it is a request that we want, and it's actually pleading that this is a request that all of us need it at this point of time. Honorable Mr. Speaker, to finish my
Yes,
my
please,
point,
you finish. Yeah.
We also need, I want to ask the chair of the council to help us, because we need to look into the issues of our, new commissions that we do every day. We are still having a lot of work to be done. There are many work that are pending. But until we sit down and organize, whether we will shed some of them so that we are able to move in a good direction, otherwise we will be just mark timing and asking ourselves what is the problem. The problem might be the money, but again, we don't have the goodwill. And I take my words directly on the door of the SG. He has to pull up his socks and let this community understand what is this work and how is it working. Because we will always be talking to ourselves, but unless someone else give us a real position of the community, we will not be able to move. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Matia. Honorable Kasamba.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Allow me also to join my other colleagues who have congratulated our most recent entrant, Honorable Dr. Vincent Biruta, as the most youngest baby in the community. Welcome,
the House.
Honorable Minister. You've come at a time when the community is faced with a lot of challenges. But I want to thank the Speaker. I want to thank the members of the East African Legislative Assembly for having persevered to this far. And I want to congratulate my brother Abdul Kadir, who has moved the motion to urge partner states to remit their obligations. Right Honorable, I remember when we were beginning this process of having our assembly through the virtual system, I made a comment that it will be only EALA which is going to be grossly affected by the budget implementation programs. This has come to pass, it's a reality. Ever since March, we've been getting a bit of the salaries for EALA, monthly remittances, but even then, they have ceased. I would urge Chair Council to take up this matter very seriously, to engage summit chair and summit members, together with the Speaker, to bring to the attention of the summit members this failure by the Secretariat to mobilize, to galvanize, given the fact that for them, they already have the donor money. I am one of those who will stand up on this floor. I will go to the public. I will even originate a petition for even the donors to stop. If it means closing EALA, we should close it during our time. We should not only mark time. We cannot run institutions without resources. Partner states must remit. I heard South Sudan was being chased away from African Union, and they managed to raise the $9 million. What stops us? Our own, where we are neighbors, trading together, brothers crossing, getting services nearest to our partner states. It is a shame. It is a shame by the leadership of the Secretariat and some of the partner states who are stopping the window. Because the window is there that if the remittances have delayed, let us borrow. But even the borrowing is being frustrated. For real, do we have the goodwill? Do we have the confidence that this community should continue? By the way, why do we say that it is one of the best performing communities on the African continent when we cannot sustain ourselves? My brother Musamali has mentioned the consultancies for sustainable funding, which has eaten a lot of money in consultancies. So, my last submission, which makes it even much more worse, Chair Council, you've come when we are only 2 days, today and tomorrow, when we are closing a financial year. Right, Honorable Speaker, it should not happen during our time that we failed to get estimates for financial year. It is a shame. If there is a provision under this motion, we should pronounce ourselves requesting for time to extend the time when we should have the estimates laid on table, because this is a critical stage of our assembly, our community, to have the estimates laid on table, debated and passed. And I'm sure, Right Honorable Speaker, before we adjourn today, we should prepare a motion which requests for the Chair Council to come up with a proposal to request Assembly or to request the Speaker to extend the time when we should, to make a commitment, a goodwill. Otherwise, we are just sitting here to talk to each other, complain. Some of us are not complainers, we are action-based. If it means mobilizing resources beyond the partner states for the Assembly to continue to survive, let us look for those alternatives. Right, Honorable Speaker, I thank members who have submitted, but it is very painful for us not to work as a team, both at Assembly level, at organ level, to ensure that we smoothen the deepening and the widening of the integration, and making sure that the integration, all the staffs and the members are well facilitated to ensure that work goes on efficiently. I thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Kasamba. And the next is Honorable Rose Akol. But before you take the floor, Honorable Rose, I feel I have to make this, I have to provide this information given what Honorable Kasamba has just said. The issue of the budget estimates that have been brought to the Assembly with only less than 2 days to close the financial year. It's been a matter of concern that we discussed extensively in the Commission today. And I was hoping, and I'm still hoping, that before this plenary ends, we shall receive a request from the Council on what we needed to do, actually in line with what you have just proposed. For more clarity, I've been in touch with the Secretary General, who is now working on that, and I hope it will be availed in time to the Council Chair, who is sitting next to me, to be presented to us, so that we agree on the roadmap to handle this before the end of tomorrow. Otherwise, we shall lead this community into a shutdown, and we don't want that to happen during our time. I have seen the CTC in the room. Please don't go away. You stay around until the end of this plenary, because we may need some interventions from you. Honorable Rose Akol, although we didn't really have to remind this institution that they needed to come to us and to ask us to invoke certain provisions of the law, but we had to do it anyway because we have to look at evidence. Honorable Akol.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I also want to join colleagues in welcoming our Chair Council, who has just been sworn in today. We have been waiting for you, actually, very much so since we're in Arusha, and today has been the day God planned. So thank you so much, Chair Council, Chair Biruta, for having successfully been sworn in to be a member of this House. You're most welcome. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank all those who have spoken in support of this motion by Honourable Abdikadir, urging partner states to honour their financial obligations. Right Honourable Speaker, I think this is not the first time. Each time we are debating the budget or each time we have a problem, especially with the finances, this has been the position. We have always urged member states to honour their financial obligations. But as it is, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, I think there is a fundamental problem that we all need to understand. And I think Council needs to do a little bit of work really to come up with a position, especially on how to handle non-remittances from the Republic of South Sudan and also from the Republic of Burundi, especially. Because, Right Honourable, I don't know whether we have, as East Africans, we have lost on the spirit of comradeship. I remember it used to be that when one member state, perhaps for some reason, and actually genuine reasons, failed to remit in that financial year, member states that were able used to contribute in support of that member state. For the time it could not be able to remit timely, it was contribution. I don't know what happened to that spirit of comradeship. Now we are all here urging this member state, every member state to honor, but the reality is we actually know that there is a problem. So we need to understand this problem, but beyond the problem, as the Honorable Musamari put it, that we have funded the last supplementary which we passed, about $200,000, I think, was set aside to fund the issue of a sustainable funding mechanism. And I remember in that assembly, we were promised that we would be given an update. And I think today, Right Honourable Speaker, we need an update on how far the consultant who was given this assignment to do, and on how far he has gone with it, because it is very surprising that you discard a funding mechanism that has been recommended by EAC, you discard it, and then opt to fund for another one to be, for a consultant to go through the system of again, looking for another funding mechanism. Yet the one you're discarding is already being implemented by another regional bloc. It doesn't make sense. So I think we need to understand why all this meandering. Why all this meandering? You have a funding mechanism being used by another state, and we don't want to use another EC block, and we don't want to use it. And for us, we opt to spend more money to get the same funding mechanism approved. I believe it will be the same. So, Right Honourable Speaker, for me, I have a lot of questions to ask, but I will stop there. Now, I want to request. I've had some colleagues contribute that, when you borrow from gratuity, the issue is it is borrowing gratuity from our money that has been set aside for gratuity 2.5 years away from now. So I really want to urge Council of Ministers that please get this approval for the sake of your members, for the sake of your staff. This month of June, imagine for members of staff who are depending on this salary, and even all of us, the month of June, today is 29th, no salary has been paid. And I believe this borrowing was also meant to cater for salaries of June. How do these members, and it's only staff of EALA, it's only staff of EALA. So how are our staff going to pay their dues, pay their bills, if we're not going to, even a salary that is supposed to be ring-fenced cannot be paid in this month of June? It is very unfortunate. Now, for members of EALA, honestly, we all know our situation. We all depend on allowances. We all depend on these allowances from plenary. This is the third month you are working without this money. Third plenary. So I don't want even to predict or to even ask, but members are in a dire situation. This money is really needed. Not tomorrow, yesterday. It was actually needed yesterday. So let's help us, let's try to be understanding. And I would like to urge those members or chair council and colleagues, members of council, please be understanding also to members of parliament and to staff of the East African Legislative Assembly. We are also human beings, and we go through situations that you also go through. So in this situation of ours, come to our rescue, because I know one day, be it today or tomorrow, you will also need this very assembly to come to your rescue. So it is we need to work with each other. Today we are in problem, we need rescue. Tomorrow you're in problem, you also need our rescue. So it's a give and take. We cannot work in isolation. We can only work together to sort our problems. I beg to end there, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ako. Honorable Mariam, Honorable Dr. Oburu. If there is any member I'm not seeing, please, you can even shout out.
Is Honorable Gideon.
Okay, Honorable Gideon. Okay. Okay, Honorable Mariam, proceed.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. First of all, let me wholeheartedly thank our staff, because I was struggling with the voice from all of you. I couldn't hear anything, but I'm thankful to Edna that she tried her best to make sure that I can participate and I can hear. I was following through YouTube live stream. Right Honorable Speaker, let me give my comments. First of all, to congratulate Council for showing his commitment, for being here. I remember when I was a commissioner, he was with us in the commission, even prior officially taking his seat. He shows serious commitment on his pledge. Member of the council, Honorable Ndumbaru, we thank him for being present and also for always being present, even with the pressing issue of campaign here in Tanzania. He's still present. We thank you. But we also, we've been doing this all over the years to help not only EAC, to help all the staff.
Honorable Mariam has some connection problems. I think we can proceed with the next speaker. Then when she comes back, she will resume the floor. The next. Sorry?
Me, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Dr. Oburu, you can proceed. When Honorable Mariam comes back with a better connection, she will resume the floor.
I will very, very gladly, Mr. Speaker, vacate for her. Now,
no, you will conclude. You will conclude your debate. Then she comes after. No problem.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want also to take this opportunity to welcome the new member of the Assembly from Rwanda. We already had one minister before from Rwanda. Now we have the second one, and it appears Rwanda has a lot of highly educated people, because both of them are very highly educated and also highly experienced in public service. And we welcome the new member, and we hope we shall work together and benefit from his vast experience in public service. Mr. Speaker, I also want us to separate two issues here. There is the issue which has been brought by Honorable Abdi Kadir, which is on the issue of non-remittance of funds to the community by the member state. Now, the second issue is the issue of budgeting, which is a completely different issue, Mr. Speaker, sir. Now, on the issue of non-remittance, Mr. Speaker, I think members are being unfair to the community, not just to the assembly, but I think they are being unfair to the whole community, because this community is not for EALA. It is. I mean, all organs of the community are interdependent on each other. They are all interrelated, and for this, and the reason why the community is established is for mutual benefit of all member states. If there is any thought that there's one member who is gaining more than the others, that is something which has to be proved. But I think, Mr. Speaker, we are all here together as brothers to help each other so that we work together as a community for the benefit of our people. And Mr. Speaker, when we don't want to submit funds, I think all over the world, there is no organization which can succeed and function without funding. Correct. So that one is a basic principle which we have all to accept. And it would have been quite understandable, Mr. Speaker, if the independent and sustainable funding mechanism was approved very quickly by the member states so that we don't have to depend on these remittances year in, year out. And Mr. Speaker, that is also becoming a problem. Since I came here now these 2.5 years, we have been talking about this in sustainable funding source for the community, and it is not moving. So I don't understand, because this is not something which is only applicable to the EAC. This is something which is being implemented by other regional blocs. Even within Africa, AU is already implementing it, the ECOWAS is implementing it, and other organizations. So why is it so difficult for us within the East African community to implement a mechanism which is already adopted by other states? What is that problem within us which makes it difficult, which something which appears to be obvious, something which appears simple, becomes so complicated that experts sit on it. You have even to employ some external consultants to do it. And even with all that funding of those external experts, that source of funding is not coming, and it is not being approved. Mr. Speaker, I think there is some lack of, I don't know how to describe it, but lack of some interest by all of us, all our states. I think we should find a way of permanently solving this problem of non-remittance by state. I know that our friends who are talking about some kind of patronizing others and so on, but that patronizing is what creates this idea of big brother, which should not be there within our partner states. I think all of us are equal, and we should be treated as equal. And if we want to be equal, then let us all try to contribute equally, so that this community can run. On the issue of budget, Mr. Speaker, I think we discussed it so extensively in the commission in the morning, and I was still defeated to understand why the community has been put into such. It is as if the whole community is put at a ransom by the Secretariat, because I think the preparation of the budget is not the Council. The Council approves the budget, but the preparation of the budget is by every institution of the community presents it, and the coordination is done by the Secretariat. Correct. And I'm very sure that there is no institution of the community which fails to prepare their budget on time. So I'm sure all of them must have prepared their budget on time. But why is that budget not coming to the council? Why is, I don't know, I've never heard in any partner state where the cabinet fails to get a budget on time, and they are demanding it from the various departments, and they don't get it. I think there must be something fundamentally wrong, because if I were the one being, who is supposed to do it, and I don't do it, I think my boss would take a very severe action against me, because I will be holding the whole country at ransom.
Correct.
So, Mr. Speaker, we are trying to do a job which is not ours. You know, ours is to debate budget which have been prepared and pass it. And we have no problem with that. Our duty, we are ready to do our duty anytime. In fact, we have even invented new methods which are very effective of working through Mutandao in very, very difficult circumstances when we have this disease called corona or COVID-19. And still, we have been very innovative, and we are working, and we are ready to pass any resolutions which are brought to us by the council, and those which are prepared by the secretariat. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it is high time that some action is taken to make sure that this community does not fall into such an embarrassing situation. Because this is embarrassing if the whole world is watching an assembly discussing whether the budget can be remitted, and now trying to find some clever way of helping the community out of this, as trying to find some clause of how to save the community from the embarrassment. Mr. Speaker, I think this is very untenable situation which should never be repeated again. Mr. Speaker, with those many or few words, I wish to support, I beg to support the motion by my brother, Honorable Abdi Kadir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Oburu. Honorable Mariam, are you back? Do you have the connection back?
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker.
Okay, can you conclude your debate?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and I'm really thankful that you give me this opportunity again. As I was thanking and pledging with our council member, Honorable Ndumbaru, I'm sure he's still on, but also I'm glad that my senior Honorable Oburu has spoken what I want to speak. The main responsibility of budget estimate, and I'm speaking as a member of budget committee for almost 7.5 years. The main responsibility here is lying to the secretariat, and the chief accounting officer, unfortunately, is missing in this very important plenary meeting. This is very unfortunate, and I can say wide open without hesitation, it's unprofessional. If Honorable SG was a minister in Tanzania with the Hapa Kazi 2 policy we have, he will not even be sitting as SG. This, we cannot, like, we have chair council, we have member of the council, but the chief accounting officer who's actually responsibility for this estimate is still working for the estimate. After almost 30 days, we are finishing the financial year in 30th of June, and the secretariat is still working on the estimates. I did not see any partner state that the government stopped. Actually, all the partner states, normally we pass the budget on the same date, and the whole budget has been passed, but it's only EALA, which I'm saying again, it's the responsibility of the chief accounting officer, who is Secretary General. Right Honorable Speaker, let me also say that I support the motion that was put before. I could not stand to physically support it because I could not hear, but I've seen in the communique and I'm supporting this motion. Also, I will urge partner states to remit their contribution, because as also member of the budget, when we and a member of former member of commission, when we were doing planning, I always ask, why are we planning for the monies that we have not been receiving? And I was told also budget is to do with estimates. So I will urge the partner state who has not remitted to honor their obligation, because one of the responsibilities of the member to be a member of EAC is remittance of funds. This is actually their main responsibility, to make sure they are active member of EAC. We should not put measure in place to force each other to pay. We know the importance of payment, because member of staff, all of EAC, member of parliament, we are all paid by contribution from partner states. We cannot be paid by other funding from other donors as it is in the secretariat. So we have to honor our obligation in order for us to move forward. So therefore, I am really, 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 I could say annoyed that Chief Accounting Officer is not here with us. We are hoping we can invoke the rules to extend the time as to look at the estimate, as we cannot pass budget without scrutinizing. That will not be professional. That will be unethical for us members just to pass budget without scrutinizing it. So we are hoping we can extend time. They can bring us the estimate, and we can pass this budget before end of July. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and I support the motion. And I thank you for giving me a second time to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mariam. Now it's Honorable Gideon, then the Honorable Ambassador Fatuma.
I want to say thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me add my voice to congratulate and welcome the new member, the Right Honorable Minister from the Republic of Rwanda, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. You are highly welcome, Honorable Minister. I want to inform you that you have a big task ahead. As we are debating now, we just need some 2 steps from your office. One is to rescue the community by not allowing it to go on a shutdown at this time of COVID-19, and that is to have the budget estimates presented to this August House, so that we can be able to gather at least to find a way forward to rescue our community. Number 2 is the second rescue. That is to the members of the Assembly and the staff of the East African community, by engaging your colleagues from the 6 partner states, including your Right Honorable Office, that you are able to secure this gratuity borrowing so that we can be able to move. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank my colleagues, the members of the East African Legislative Assembly, for their resilience. They have come a long way, and I know it from myself, and every one of us knows that we have been able to go through a very difficult time. And together we are able to do things, even though we don't have anything to facilitate our activities. Right Honorable Speaker, because of the inaction of the Council, I want to say that, and I want to emphasize, it made us to somehow circumvent the right protocol to go and be able to engage our partner states at the highest level of the ministerial position and also to other big offices, just encouraging and to urge them to be able to remit. But this is solely the business of the Secretary General and the Council. So because if the Council and the Secretary General are not moving faster to be able to engage their colleagues in the partner state, then we find the members of the assemblies, for example, through the office of the chair of our chapter. He has been somehow not resting at all. He has been there to move day and night to be able to ask, when are we getting paid, so that our activities could be able to move. This is something that we have done together. And for this month, we were able to meet the Minister of Presidential Affairs in our country to be able to express ourselves that this is the situation we are facing. And the Assembly is at the verge of kind of not doing anything in the near future. So this we brought to the attention of our country at the highest level, and I hope with the Honorable Chair, the Chair of Council, coming in now with his effort to ensure that the community moves forward, then he needs to begin from the highest office of His Excellency, the Chair of the Summit, to be able to engage the council, the rest of the council of the summit members for these payments to be done. Right Honorable Speaker, I want also to mention that the whole situation is about having no sustainable funding mechanism. This is something that we need the Right Honorable Minister to take up as one of his first priorities, to be able to deliver this community from this kind of situation that we've been facing for 2.5 years now. So I think the Right Honorable Minister has the opportunity to show the East African that he is able to move the community from this dire situation to something better, and that is to secure, fast-track the activities being done to ensure that there is a sustainable funding mechanism. Right Honorable Speaker, with these remarks of mine, I want to say thank you and I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Gideon. Now, Honorable Ambassador Fatuma, Honorable Wanjiku, Honorable Engineer Mnya, Honorable Namara, those four first.
Thank
Honorable
you.
Dr. Woda will come next.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me join my colleagues by congratulating my Minister, Honorable Vincent Biruta, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation from the Republic of Rwanda, for swearing in as an ex-official, and we commit our support to him as he assumes this important role. I would also like to support the motion that has been moved by Honorable Abdikadir, urging partner states to remit their funds. And I think this is common sense. We've been talking about this, and we all know that the issue of funding to the community annual contribution is an obligation to all the partner states. The moment partner states accede to the treaty, one of their key obligations is also to remit annual funds. So if they are not doing that, then it means they are not conforming to the treaty, and then the treaty, we know, is our guiding document. It is the constitution of the community. Because there is no way out, we cannot talk about regional integration, we cannot talk about a community that aspires to be united, peaceful, and prosperous when we are not paying our dues. So it's something that can never be achieved. So again, it's also an issue of political will, because really, we all know that despite the COVID, which is a challenge for all our countries, but we know that all our partner states have been engaged in a budget processing. So if it's possible at the national level, it can be possible at the regional level. It's a question of really prioritizing this. So I really want to urge our ministers to make sure that this is done so that we can move as a community. And I believe it's a question of really prioritizing regional integration, because I know all of us, East Africa is an important bloc for all of us, bit of trading among ourselves. It's very important. It's a model community. So I really wanted to urge our council to look into this and ensure that countries are paying in time. It's possible. Because we, again, East African community is a regional economic community of the African Union. If 54 member states can meet and agree to fund the community, plus recently passing even this sustainable funding mechanism where they are contributing about 0.1% of their budget, the same members are members of the East African community. For me, I don't even think we need to go for consultancies. Consultancies have been there for sustainable funding. It's a question of picking what we need from various consultancies that we've made, plus even borrowing a leaf from the African Union. So if African Union can do it, we can do it. So sustainable funding mechanism is important. Remittance, and remittance. Let's start this financial year honoring our commitments as a council. And finally, we hope the council will look into this matter, especially the challenge that members have raised, issues of staff, support our staff, but also issues of salaries. I believe this is something you can work out, and so that we can have a community that is stable, a community that is focused on issues of integration. I want to support the motion and hope the council will look into this. Thank you.
Thank
Article.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Can I take the floor?
Yes, the floor is yours, yes.
Okay, thank you. In the beginning, I want to support this motion and ask our colleagues from the Republic of Burundi and Republic of South Sudan that this motion is by no means targeting them. This is a motion for the community, for good of all of us together, including them. Honorable Speaker, I think it's time that we have to ask hard questions which probably they require answers, because time and again we have asked questions, as members have said, most of the time we speak by ourselves because the relevant parties who should respond are not in the House. And Honorable Speaker, I may want to refer to the rule of the absenteeism in the Assembly, which states that if a member is absent for 7 consecutive times and the member has no written information to your desk, this member should be referred to the Committee of Legal. I think we are, as members of Committee of Legal, we are very much waiting for such members, because here it hasn't indicated official members, it is just reading members. So I want to assume any member who sits in the Assembly is a member, be it the SG, the Council, or ourselves as members. So as members of Legal, I think we look forward to seeing these members who are absent all the time, unless, Honorable Speaker, you have written permission to them. Honorable Speaker, where is this rain? Where did it start raining on us? And I believe it is still raining on us, and I believe it will continue raining. I think it is time the Council's members have to put their heads together and advise the summit correctly. I believe we could have underestimated the obligations ahead when we enrolled new members. Because truth be said, we cannot say we are the same. A republic like South Sudan is still struggling to make their own government. A republic like Burundi is still struggling with other issues. So speaking and saying that we are all the same, I think we are just lying ourselves, and we need the reality of the matter. And I remember one time our former President Kibaki did rescue one of the partner states, and maybe this is the platform that we need to look and see how then forward, because that rescuing is also not sustainable. How else can we move? Do we increase the remittance? Maybe the countries that have this capacity increase their remittance, and those others, they reduce their remittance. And also then, those who are not able to have the same level, they accept to have less say. Otherwise, if we continue holding hands and crossing a very deep river, insinuating that we are all the same, and maybe only one person is very strong, we may all go by the river, and we shall soon see that we have closed this community. It shouldn't happen at our time, because we have all the capacity God has given us, even the information to read future, to plan for future. And I think we have learned people in the members of the council. Our summit have all good intention. So to say the literal, we shouldn't even attempt to think that this community can close. But reality is that it can close any time from now. In fact, I say time and again, it's on record that this community is on autopilot. it is not driven. And we can clearly see today is 29th of June without budget estimate. Today is the 4th month without our staffs and our service members not earning. Honorable Speaker, for record, it is very painful that most members and staffs have responsibilities in the banks. And when the community doesn't remit salary in time, they leave us by ourselves to cater for penalties of interest accrued. This is criminal, by the way. This is wrong. In fact, one day we shall walk to the EACJ and present, and I think the community will be paying us. Because every month, if today is 29th, and my salary was supposed to be paid on 24th, the bank has already penalized me. And when the month come and they remit, they will not cater for the interest that I shall pay to the bank. So there is some attitude of don't caring and people treating the members or the staffs like they don't care or they don't realize. Honorable Speaker, when a community like this, which is seen like the fastest growing community, is not able to handle the basic needs, it is worrying, it is sad, and for sure, if a research was to be done today, it is not going to the right direction. So as members, as council, we need to put it to the right direction. I believe 100% it is not a mistake of council, because they are not the one who make budget. And it is not the council also to go and ask the relevant person to bring the budget. It is not even for us as an assembly to ask council, where is the budget? Somebody somewhere is asleep, and this somebody must be woken up. Otherwise, some people may not be worrying of sinking the ship. But as we are worried to sink, we don't want to sink. If someone wants to sink, he should sink alone. As I summarize, the reality of the matter, Honorable Speaker, let me urge the council that they sit down, they find the best solution. These alternative mechanism have been said 100 times. It is on Hansard, and I think even the Hansard today will not accept to record that. If Hansard was somebody, it has been said time and again. The results are there already at African Union. Let us see how we will not be so quick to admit any other partner state, as we are 6 now. Those who are 6 already, because we are already there, we are already married. Let us find a solution how we shall work. And the only way to work is to categorize group A, B, C, D, E, F, and see that maybe the Republic of South Sudan can only handle this. Let Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, or any other country handle the matters of the balance. And let these 2 countries also who may be struggling also accept the reality of their status. Otherwise, I want to support this motion, say that members of Secretariat should not sink EAC in the name of COVID-19, because the community is not the only one working during COVID-19. The whole world is working, and it is unprecedented that on 29th of June, we still do not have the budget in place, and this is very, very sad. I submit, Honorable Speaker, and I am having a lot of faith with the Chair Council, because we engaged with him some time back in the commission, and I believe something will happen. Let me say this as I conclude. It is quite inhuman that a council member somewhere can withdraw a signature to give gratuity to the EALA members and their staffs, and this gratuity belongs to us anyway. It is like me having the food for Christmas and telling my children I will not cook this food because it is meant for Christmas. Even the bank, a private institution, a profit-making institution, is willing to give gratuity to members. Yes. A bank, what of a community that we work in? These are questions that even the council members who are not for that gratuity should ask themselves. I beg to submit, and I support the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Wanjiku. Honorable Namara, then Honorable Engineer Mnya first. Honorable Namara, Honorable Dr. Woda, Honorable Christophe. Is
We can't
there
hear
a problem?
Honorable Mnya.
Engineer, are you connected? Engineer Mnya? No, your microphone is not on. Your microphone is not on.
Okay, let me
Yes.
start again. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to air my views. First and foremost, I would like also to welcome and congratulate Honorable Vincent Biruta for being a new member of EALA. To begin with my views, let me first support this motion 100%. And thank you very much, Honorable Abdul Kadir, for bringing this motion today. And actually, it was supposed to be brought some months ago, not today. So we are really late, but at least it's better than nothing. Right Honorable Speaker, let me start for congratulating my Honorable Chair Kasamba for his last submission that we have only 2 days for closing the financial year. So he was asking the council minister to think of the situation of extending using Article 12 of the Budget Act. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Speaker, on October 2019, when this civil society organization, EASO for East Africa, where they submitted the petition to you, and their intention of what they wanted to do, some of us, we were in the position of blaming them. But now, today, we do see the importance of that civil society notion when they petition to you. And actually, they have to rethink on what they wanted last time it was fulfilled or not. And it is the time now for this civil society to intervene again. Mr. Speaker, it is actually we should not, we should not blame this COVID-19 for this situation. Actually, it is not the COVID-19 which resulted this situation we are suffering today. Actually, there is something which is being really surprising, that all partner state national parliament, they're executing their mandate and they have no financial constraint at all, the whole University of Africa. But this EALA belongs to all these partner states. Why we are suffering? And it's the same thing. And that means is a direct indication that the commitment from most of the partner states, they are based on their national parliament rather than the EALA. This is wrong. EALA belongs to all partner states. And if our national parliament, the importance of our national parliament stands the same as the importance of this EALA. So this is something which I was surprised why he saw. Mr. Speaker, that whether you are aware or not, you should know that the staff and members of parliament, they are somehow disappointed today, or very much disappointed. Actually, they are not on strike, but they are on strive. And they're really striving. Something should be done immediately. Actually, in my position, I really trust and believe that the chair council member, the new one, will do something immediately. This is a big challenge for him, and I really agree, and I am optimistic that he will do something immediately. By that brief, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for for the short time I have taken to air my views. Thank you very much.
Thank you
I
very much,
support the motion.
Engineer Mnya. The next is the Honorable Namara.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would also want to add my voice and congratulate the Honorable Vincent Biruta, who has just taken oath of office today. On the onset, I want to say that I support the motion by the Honorable Aden Abdukadio regarding urging partner states to meet their financial obligations. But actually, to me, it's not the first time we have moved the motion urging the partner states to ensure they pay, and they are actually aware that they are supposed to pay, but they have chosen not to pay. I would want to inform the honorable members that I can assure you in East Africa, there is no single partner state that does not have the capacity of paying this money. It is a question of commitment from the partner states and the issue of ensuring that they are committed to the cause of East African integration. Because as you have said that when sanctions were put on the Republic of South Sudan,
there is
within a
an
day,
echo. Honorable Namara, there is an echo, there is the echo there. I don't know whether because Honorable Musamari was coming out clearly. I don't know what is happening. And you are in the same location. Is there anyone who has not muted?
From Magembe.
Honorable Magembe, please, can you mute your microphone? Honorable Magembe, have you muted? Okay, so someone hasn't. I think you can hear that interruption.
Yeah, right.
Maybe maybe the phone is around you. The colleagues are using their phone. IT. What do you think is the problem? Because it is very rough. Okay. Honorable Namara, you can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I was saying, that the partner states, there's no single partner state that does not have the capacity to pay the financial obligations. But it's a question of commitment from each partner state to ensure they pay this money. As I said, that the Republic of South Sudan, after getting sanctioned from African Union, they paid the money within no time. Now, I would actually want, I would wish.
Honorable Nur, I think the connection is becoming very problematic. Maybe the IT people can tell us if they need our assistance. Honorable Nur.
Honorable Makame may have put on his mic.
Honorable Makame, what has he done?
Yeah. He has put on the mic and left, but now he has put on.
Honorable Makame, you had your microphone on. I want you to explain why you didn't mute, because I directed that you mute.
Yes.
Can you switch on your microphone and tell me why you didn't comply with my directive? No, I want Honorable Makame to tell me why he didn't mute, because I directed that he should mute. Honorable Makame.
Munya can explain, because they are together.
Yes, Honorable Makame. You know the rules of discipline of this house have not been suspended. So we said, if you are not on the floor, you mute so that a member on the floor can be properly heard. And why we are insisting is because, Honorable Dr. Makame, you have not done this for the first time. You have always had issues managing your gadget. Please, if you are not on the floor, you have to mute your microphone. Yes, because if we don't comply with the rules of this technology, then it is not going to save us the way we want it to save us. The Honorable Namara, you can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I was saying, that our motion is not biting enough because it is not punitive in any way. Someone can hear a motion and just ignore it. But I would want us actually to invoke Article 146 of our treaty that talks about suspension of a member. It is very clear, very categorical, that the summit may suspend a partner state from taking part in the activities of the community if that state...
Yeah, wait a moment. Honorable colleagues, Engineer Munya, Honorable Makame, why are you not switching off? Why are you not muting your microphone?
We want
Mr.
to hear
Speaker,
from you.
there was a problem with the freezing of the system.
It is the problem of what?
The system was somehow freezing and not responding.
Yeah, but when
Honorable
you are
just
having a
admitted.
conversation between yourselves, we hear you. So that can only happen when you have not muted. It has nothing to do with the connection.
No, it was freezing. We tried to mute here, disable the speaker.
So it wasn't responding. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it possible to mute now? Is it becoming possible?
Yes, it is.
Please do. Please do. Thank you. Okay, sorry, Honorable Namara, for interruption. Please.
Thank you once again, Honorable Speaker. As I was saying that
okay, sorry.
Article 146 provides for suspension of a member state that has failed to meet the obligations, fundamental principles and objectives of the treaty, including failure to meet financial commitments to the community within a period of 18 months. Now, one of the reasons why we have the office of the CTC, Council of the Community, is to even explore the legal framework of ensuring that people and partner states observe the principles and observe the treaty. So I would want to seek your guidance, Honorable Speaker, afterwards from the CTC, that isn't there a legal way, a legal system of how we can actually use our legal system like the courts to ensure these partner states that are not paying have actually fulfilled their obligations under the principle of public interest litigation. Because if we do not use that, it means that people will listen and they just keep quiet. They don't care whether they pay or they don't pay because there's nothing that is punitive. So I would request the Honorable Abdul Kadir that actually the motion should not only include urging partner states, but also urging summit to invoke the provision of the treaty on countries and partner states that are not meeting their financial obligations. Right, Honorable Speaker.
In principle, you are proposing an amendment, and you will have to put them in writing and forward them to Honorable Dr. Honorable
for information to Honorable Namara.
Yes,
Honorable Speaker,
yes, Honorable Abdul
I think it's just that people don't have the copy of the motion. But my request number 4, prayer number 4 of this says, recommend to summit to sanction partner states which default in making contribution required by Article 132(4) of the treaty. So I thought that actually is in direct reference. That sanctioning is also managed by the treaty. I don't know if Honorable Namara is accordingly guided. I know you don't have a copy of the physical.
No, Honorable Namara will assess whether that actually addresses his proposal, and if it doesn't adequately address it, then you will forward to him, to the mover, the phrasing of how you wanted the amendment done.
Thank you, Right Honorable. I would also from the office of the CTC, because there's a legal way of how some of the enforcement of the treaty can be done. So if one of the partner states is breaching the fundamental principles of the treaty, then we may have to invoke the other arm of the treaty, which is the legal system, or that is the courts of our courts, the East African Court of Justice. Right Honorable Speaker, I would want to retaliate, also add my voice on the issue of the plight of members. We have information that, of course, most of the partner states had granted the members, we borrow money from gratuity and we pay the members. It is extremely very unfortunate that a partner state can deny members payments when they well know that this is their entitlement under the EALA Powers and Privileges Act. When I sit, I'm supposed to be paid. Who's supposed to pay me? The Council of Ministers. It is their responsibility. So according to me, they are breaching even the terms of my contract. So if I want now, I can actually go to the courts and sue that person, that minister from that partner state in person for failing to ensure that my contractual, the contractual terms that were given to me when I was coming to EALA are met, because I've not been paid for the last 3 months on my sittings, and yet I've been sitting every day. So for my think is first of all, breach of trust and a breach of responsibility from that partner state. It is like saying, because some of the Council of Ministers, the ministers are paid by their partner states. So they don't go through what we're going through. When they come and sit in these meetings, for them they're earning their per diem from their partner states. They are earning their salaries from their partner states. So why would they not feel the same for us? That can they work under the conditions we're working under? Can they work without pay? For all those 3 months, is there a minister who can come every day and is working and not being paid? I think it's very unfair, and it is total breach of trust that the heads of state have given them the mandate to run the integration agenda of East Africa, and instead they are moving in the direction of ensuring that integration is not achieved. I therefore request the minister that we ensure that the welfare of the members is taken care of. And secondly, on the issue of the budget, it is appalling. Today is 29th. There are no budget estimates. I think even if the summit hears about this, they will think this community is heading the very wrong direction. Since April, because the law is clear, when you're supposed to table the estimate, this is now coming to July. There are no estimates. And I'm sure they will come now with the coining of saying that we should have vote on account. How do you have vote on account on a budget which is not presented? You are going to have vote on account on what? Based on what? You have no budget estimates. So it's going to be a very big, it's going to be a challenging situation if they bring the issue of vote on account on a budget which is non-existing. It is not laid on table. It is not formally before this house. And then they will come and say we should give them money for vote on account when the members have not been paid the allowances. Now, how are you going to have vote on account approved when you are not accepting that members should sit? Because by refusing to sign for members to get the allowances, it means you don't recognize the sittings of this parliament. That's what I would think. Because when members sit, they are supposed to be paid. With those few words, Mr. Speaker, I would want to urge the member state that has refused to sign for members' gratuity, to borrow from gratuity. That is our money that we contribute to every month. I would request that that partner state signs immediately, like yesterday, to ensure that members are paid. I beg to move.
Thank you, Honorable Namara. Now, Honorable Dr. Woda, then Honorable Christopher.
Watu wawili ambayo foto yao haionekani, hiyo na huyu.
Honorable Dr. Woda, your microphone is not on yet. It looks like Honorable Dr. Woda has issues of connection. In the meantime, Honorable Chris can continue, and the IT people, please try to help the Honorable Member.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I have three requests from the chair.
Yes, Honorable Nur, there is a point of order.
Honorable Speaker, I need to be guided. If I want to make an amendment on the recommendation of the mover, because he quoted the Article 132.4 in the last paragraph in the recommendation 4. And I think the right article to be used would have been 143 and 146. I just wanted to propose that amendment because when Honorable Namara raised, I think Honorable Abdikadir said the recommendation is already there, but the article quoted is about the contribution, not about the sanction. So if we recommend, and the recommendation I think should be to the council, because we don't recommend directly to the summit, but we recommend to the council to recommend to the summit, according to the treaty. So I think I want to make that amendment that we recommend to the council the sanction to sanction the partner state which defaults.
Summit.
Defaults making contribution as required by Article 146 and 143. Because 142 talks about the contribution. So sanction is about 143 and 146.
And 147.
I just wanted to make that amendment. Wonderful.
That was a tactful way of debating the motion when you hadn't been given it. But I was going to give you a substantive. I was going to give you a substantive role, Honorable Note, because I know you know it's your right. But well, the point is taken. The point is taken, and the Honorable Mover will deal with it at the right time. Honorable Chris, you were on the floor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Actually, I realized that my question, which I wanted to ask the chair, were somehow related to this motion, but not directly to this motion. I don't know if you can allow me to ask Chair these three questions, if it's possible, Right Honorable Speaker.
Well, when you have given me the indication ahead of time that the point you have is not related to the matter on the floor, then I cannot allow you to proceed.
Speaker, is
If you can
somehow
only
related to it.
wait for my clarification. You have
Yes.
the floor to debate the motion on the floor only.
Yeah, well, it has to do something with this motion. It's about the previous promise he promised to us when we had the last.
Is there a connection problem? Is there a connection problem? Honorable Chris, you proceed.
Yes, it was about the promise he gave us that within a short of time, he will respond to that borrowing issues where a certain partner state was objecting to borrow from a reserve, and he promised that you're gonna fix it because it was not a matter of borrowing; it was a matter of meeting the diplomat demands, as he stated. So, therefore, Right Honourable Speaker, if you permit me to ask him, or you permit him to respond on that request, on how far has he gone and what stopped him to fulfill the promise he promised us. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yeah, okay. So that is directly related to the motion. You didn't even have to put that caveat. So it will be handled. Honorable Muhirwa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to speak for this motion we're discussing about. Honorable Speaker, EAC community is considered as a unique body of different parts in that uniqueness of that body. And this integration is highly historic. Before even the political leaders came up together to give the political shape to this integration, our EAC citizens were historically unified and united. But indeed, we have to give legal framework and political, forms so as to have a very strong community. Yes, indeed, we are facing a crisis. We are suffering. We don't have funds because indeed, some partner states are not limiting on time. Without having these remittances on time, indeed, some activities of the community are highly affected. And I am suffered when indeed some activities in different programs and projects of the community, when they are not really implemented due to lack of funds, it is an issue. And other rules and regulations, which are very clear, how matters and issues are handled, especially when we have such crisis. The head of states, the members of the summit are the guarantors of this treaty. They are there to stand for the treaty. And we members of the House, we have taken oath, indeed, to defend the treaty. But let me remind you, honorable members, that our community, our integration is political, is social, economic, cultural. We have many ways that we can pass through to deal with issues. I can witness and testify that the Republic of Burundi has been paying, and you all members, But indeed, it happens that problems arise. But when, difficulties and challenges come, it's up to us to sit together as members of the same family and remember that the motto of the community is one people, one destiny. The present motion, at its end, it speaks about we recommend for sanctions against those partner states. I want to propose that we, members of the community, it's high time we speak out, we voice out, to speak for unity of the community. Whatever we do must align with unifying the community. So I appeal and urge that we propose to Council of Ministers to meet urgently and have extraordinary meeting to only discuss this issue of non-remittance on.
Honorable Muhiru, are you done? Because you, towards the end, you went off.
I don't get you well.
I didn't hear your conclusion. I think the microphone went off.
Okay.
Are you done?
As I conclude, I was saying that instead of passing this motion to sanction those partner states who have not been remitting on time, let's propose and urge the Council to meet urgently in extraordinary meeting to only discuss this single issue of non-remitting on time. In that particular extraordinary meeting, they will be highly informed from those partner states why they have not been remitting on time. Because I tackle on this will of being together. The political will is there, but challenges will never miss. Today is the Republic of Burundi, South Sudan. Tomorrow may be another partner state. So let's be apostles of unity and let's speak for having this extraordinary meeting, and then thereafter they will have to go to the summit members and maybe see other ways they can pass it through to handle the matter. Otherwise, even members of the summit, they know this issue. They know. Let's urge then the Council to speak for us and go to the summit. Thank you, I propose.
Yeah, thank you. So basically it is an amendment you are proposing, and the Honorable Mover will take that into account. Honorable members, I understand the issues of curfew and our IT people who have to make their way home in time, because for them they are not driving with the diplomatic number plates. So we have to take that into consideration. Now I want to invite the Council Chair, and I understand. I have seen Dr. Ndumbaro in the House. Are you still around, Dr. Ndumbaro? Are you still around?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, because you see, we are, maybe before you proceed, the Honorable Council Chair, you understand the Council Chair is a new person in the office. That's why I was somehow excited when I saw there was another council member in the room. I thought they were going to work together. But let me tell you this, and some of you honorable members have spoken about it. Honorable members of the council, the CTC, the Secretary General are members of this House. When they refuse or they fail to attend the plenaries in which they are duly invited, they are in breach of our rules. And for some time, we have been flexible. We have been flexible about this because we always believe if there is one or two of them in the house, we can move. You know, they don't have to be full house, but now gradually we're heading towards the point where none of them is in the room. So that is a serious problem. You can talk to some of the members who were here before us. There is a precedent of the House resolving to send the sergeant at arms to bring the ex-officio member in the house. There is that precedent. You can talk to members who were here not long ago. That precedent is there. When a member was consistently refusing to attend, they passed the resolution and sent the sergeant at arms to go and bring him. Maybe he didn't have to drag him in the house. There was a discussion that took place, but the member attended. So we don't need to get to that point. Yes. Please, ex-officio members, you have an obligation under the treaty that can only be performed in the house. There are certain obligations in your dockets that you can't do from your offices. You have to be here. So you have to be here with us. Whether anybody is in agreement or disagreement on the way we are doing things, we have made a resolution. This is how we are going to do business. So it is wrong. It is particularly wrong for some members, ex-officials, not to be in the house today on a day like this. Yes, we may understand some of the situations, and as I said, we have been very flexible about it. If we have two members of the council, we have SG. If he has a reason not to be around, he properly communicates, depending on the order paper, that is fine. But the absence and consistent absence, I think this house will have to put their feet on the ground and enforce the law to make sure that when it is time for you to be in the house, to perform your business in the house, then you are there in the house, because that's the law. Now, after the council chair, there is going to be a discussion on how we are going to handle the issue of the budget. So who are the responsible people? Where are they? Yes, where are they? That's the problem. So, council, you can respond to the issues that members have raised first.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And honorable members of EALA, thank you very much for the issues I have raised.
But let me, first of all, let me know who are the ex-officio members in the house so that they can compliment you. CTC, I saw you. Are you still around, CTC?
I'm still around, Right Honorable.
Is there any other? Yes, the Honorable Secretary General, I'm very happy to see you coming at this time. So you have come at a very crucial moment where we really needed you. Thank you. So Honorable Council Chair is going to respond to some of the issues that were raised before you came in, and please compliment each other. So that when we are in Arusha and you are seated in the front bench, you consult. So now you don't have that possibility to consult easily. I will allow everyone to speak because you don't have a way that is practical to harmonize the positions. So I will just allow every ex-officio member who feels he has something to say at this moment in time.
Honorable Chairman. Now, I respond to three issues. First of all, the issues of non-payment of the dues to the council. I honestly agree with you that we cannot have a budget without finances. That does not happen anywhere. So we need to move as a community to enforce non-payment this month. I think let's begin from there, because from there the rest falls in place. We cannot have a budget without sources of finances. We can't have source of finances unless we pay obligations to the community. That's number one. So I agree with you that this has to be enforced. Otherwise, the budget will be simply a statement of intention. It won't simply work. That's number one. Number two, the issue of the budget and the passing of the budget, as Honorable Chair said, I'm new here, but I'm not new to the government, and I have had budgets before, past budgets, in my different capacities. And unfortunately, we have COVID with us that has been a problem in some countries, or to most countries, depending on how we managed it. But also, we have had unfortunate circumstances where, for example, we lost one of the most important members of the community, His Excellency the President of Burundi, late Pierre Nkurunziza. We are meant to have a council. We had to suspend it. We also lost a brother, Honorable John Luke of Southern Sudan. Again, we had to postpone the council to honor a passing brother. So we have had lapses because of these unfortunate circumstances. But we are going to call emergency council next week to have this budget that the Secretary will present to us debated. And hopefully we shall pass it, and then we shall bring it to your attention for a debate. But let me put this way. Last time I appeared before you, I pledged my support to what you all told me, and I still bear that in mind. The issues you are facing of non-payment of your dues, your salaries, etc. And I feel for you, as I told you last time, and I do today. After I met with you last time, I did consult my colleagues across the board. Most of them were supportive. Some of them were not. And this where the issue of consensus is dodging this community. I won't spare this away. I will not, as a member, the issue of consensus is the biggest problem we are debating here. Unless we solve this issue of consensus, we shall go back and forth and blame each other, won't go very far. If we had not consensus, but rather majority, we had agreed this money would have paid yesterday to you. And unfortunately, every country must agree for me to write a letter instructing the Secretary General to pay this money. Now, we shall be meeting as a council to gain a consensus to allow it to pay. And as I said, if this consensus was not binding, this money would have paid. The members were not in favor, and my hands were tied up. I could not write a letter, instruct the community, pay the money. So you need to understand our situation, that much as we are facing a situation, we are facing a situation of our own making as a community. We need to go back to the drawing board and say, can this consensus work in conditions, apart from this of the budget, even in other conditions? And my answer, as a member, is no. We can never have consensus at all. We cannot have consensus. We need to have a majority, whatever we mean by that. 75%, 3/4, whatever. Otherwise, asking every member to give consent, we are going to have members absent, others thinking differently, and this dogs the community's work, including this budget, including, in fact, the payment of money from gratuity, which for me, as I said, I would have paid yesterday, because I understand your needs. You need to be paid. Whether your salaries, sitting allowances, or any other money due to you, it's your money. Nobody should restrain you from getting your money. But now, members, we need to go back again and ask ourselves, how do we handle this issue of consensus? Hopefully, not hopefully, next week we shall have a council. In this council, these issues will be brought on the table. The issue of the budget, in fact, the issue of money payment of the contributions, and the issue of using money from gratuity, which for me, as a member, I had concurred with, for understand where you are coming from. So having said that, I can only promise you that when we have a council next week, we shall get a solution to this problem, and once and for all. But as we go that route, I want to ask ourselves as a community, can we live under the conditions of consensus? If you all say the answer is yes, I will agree with you, but bear in mind the constraints of the word consensus. Thank you very much.
Yes. Is there an additional comment any other ex-officio member wants to make? Yes, Honorable SG.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I take this opportunity to greet all the members of Parliament, and of course also recognize that I'm very happy to
Honorable
meet with the...
Honorable SG, sorry, I know there is a letter, there is a communication we have been having. We are not at that point yet on the letter you just wrote. It's about a motion that a member...
I'm not going to talk about that later.
Yeah, okay, that one we'll discuss it after.
So I was just going to comment very briefly on this issue of salaries. I think really, as far as I'm concerned, the key problem is about contribution. If countries have contributed, we will not even be discussing this. So that is, to me, number one. I do not really mean to comment on treaty provisions. The treaty was signed by our heads of state, and I don't think personally that consensus is a problem, but it becomes a problem in a situation like this. Now, I have been discussing with my colleagues, Right Honorable Speaker. We wrote a letter, as you know, a few days ago, or actually even a week ago, and that letter was requesting the council to allow us to give 82,000 US dollars to EALA, so that the salaries can be paid. So my decision of my colleagues was to write again this afternoon, because we are talking about salaries. We are talking about a commitment that the community has made to their staff and members of parliament. And we don't think there's really any problem, and no one would ever question the fact that we pay salaries. So, Honorable Chair of Council, we are going to send you a letter telling you that we are giving this money to EALA so that they can pay the salaries for the month of June. It has happened in the past. Definitely when we tell the council that we are going to pay, give some money lend some money to an institution or to an organ so that the salaries can be paid. And I think I was going to suggest actually to council to make an approval when we have the council next week. But in the meantime, make sure we can have people paid their salaries. I think all the other issues can also be discussed at the council, but for the salaries, I think the issue is clear enough. It's not money which is being used for any other things. There are no problems around this question, and I think, Chair, we are going to tell you through a letter tomorrow morning that we are going to pay this money so that the EALA members can have their salaries.
Honorable SG,
yes.
SG, for clarity.
Yes.
There is a request to pay outstanding arrears for members.
Yes.
And the procedure that you are pursuing, I mean the council and everybody, is the same procedure that should be pursued to pay also the outstanding arrears. So we want clarity here. Is there any question on the payment of those other arrears? Why is the salary component being handled alone? Because the collective is all the rights to the members. It is part of their terms of service. So if there is something that is not being spoken about, let us know, let us hear. Because it is not only, let me conclude. It is not only the salaries that are pending. There are also arrears for members for the entire period they have been working. And we suggested that from a certain source, this also should be availed so that it can be paid. So we want this clarity so that members of EALA who do not talk to me about this subject every day, except members of the commission, I don't want them to go with an impression that we have been only pursuing salaries and not the other component that is also due to them. Yes.
So, Right Honorable, let me be very transparent and very clear with you. Number one, we don't have money. So I think your clerk can tell you the status of our finances now. there is no money. Number two, the EAC Secretariat does not need any authorization to pay salaries. You know that. But when it comes to taking money out of the reserve fund for gratuity, we have to go to council. So these are rules which I have not set up, they are there. So that's why, as I deal with salaries, I feel more comfortable to tell council that this is the way we do it usually. We don't really request authorization to pay salaries. Number two, it's a small amount. And finally, if we can wait 1 week, we have the council really debate this issue of arrears and where the money can come from. We have been waiting for, I think, on our members, and very sorry for that. You have been waiting for some time. If we can wait 1 additional week to do things the right way, I think we don't really have much choice. As far as I'm concerned, I cannot really take that risk of doing something when I know for a large amount, when I know that I should go through council. Thank you.
Honorable SG, your clarification is very clear. And this house is not about to suggest to you that you float any rules, not at all. Because we know it's not even within your powers to go to the gratuity account and, you have to get the approval of the council, and the council must have the consent of everyone in the council. That procedure we know. But what we are saying is that the same procedure we take to get approval from the request to borrow in the gratuity fund is the same procedure we undertake to borrow from the reserve fund. So what we have been waiting for is a response to our request, because we made a request and we have been waiting for a response, but a response that is responsible. Yes, saying we are not giving you, we are not granting this request, but here is the alternative, because the community owes us. So the response must be a responsible response as well, not one that is merely dismissive and indifferent. And we need also to understand that this request that we made from the gratuity fund, the gratuity is a savings of everyone, the staff who must be paid at the end of their tenure. But this is a kind of payment that doesn't surprise anyone, because we know who is retiring when. It is not like tomorrow we shall be surprised by someone retiring when we don't know they are actually retiring. So it is possible to predict how much we shall need within a period of time, because there are no surprises on the issues of gratuity. So what we are looking at, and why did we even suggest that we go to borrow? It's because it is not the job of the assembly to mobilize remittances. We just want to meet the obligations of members. We are trying to find a solution for the members, for what is due for them, for their right, without being conflictual on the issue of payment or non-payment of remittances. And this is where we are really seeking for understanding and cooperation from everyone. But well, maybe our take is this matter. Okay, SCG, you are still on the floor now.
So I just wish to clarify, I think, one important thing. The salaries will be borrowed from the reserve account, which is governed by the financial rules and regulations. So the financial rules and regulations do allow borrowing from reserve under certain conditions. The same financial rules and regulations prohibit use of gratuity. So that's why we have to go to council. The procedure for getting money from reserve cannot possibly be the same as getting money from gratuity, because gratuity cannot be used. That is why I just want to clarify. These are two different things.
Thank you, honorable members. Remember, we are still on the motion by Honorable Abdikadir. And we got the response from the council chair that there is going to be a council meeting where these matters will be discussed. So I go back to Honorable Abdikadir to respond to the contributions of the members so that we can dispose of this motion.
What about the budget?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Clarification.
Clarification, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable
Mr.
Kasala.
Speaker. First of all, I want to thank the interactive response from the Right Honorable Secretary General. The issue of the
Honorable
budget.
Kasamba, let me suggest a procedure. Because we are on the motion and there is a way we must deal with it. But there is another item coming where most of your views can be accommodated. It is coming next after we dispose of this motion. Most of what you intended to speak about will fit in that. No problem. Honorable Abdikadir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the honorable members for the contribution. Through you, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Council Chair for the good suggestions, and especially on his view on the issue of the quorum. We agree with you, Honorable Council Chair, and this House has urged many times with regards to that issue. I also want to thank the SG for his response. Let me say, Honorable SG, that your response with the issue with regards to consensus is divergent from that of Council, is divergent from that of the position held by this House and many decision makers in the community, who always in all reports have indicated that the issue of consensus and not majority has been the root cause of the ineffectiveness or the non-performance of the community. Honorable Speaker, I think the SG is here because he's under pressure for budget, under pressure because something that has never happened before has happened, under pressure because for unprecedentedly we are on the second last day of the month of June and we have no budget before us. Let me tell you, Honorable SG, as a finance person, and luckily now I have seen the Commission today granted me an opportunity to be a member of the Accounts Committee. We will wait for you there to answer, to forensically explain and answer why this has happened to the community for the first time. It must be answered. It's a very serious audit query which must be answered for. If you are coming here because you are under pressure for budget, because you want a vote on account, okay, until I hand over to Honorable, my good comrade Namara, don't expect that from us. We will not do it until the outstanding issues of emolument of members is addressed. If you are saying there is a council meeting on Wednesday, take the earliest opportunity now to push for that proposal which has been done before. That proposal has gone through all council members. They know it. They are aware about it. Many of them have written in their approvals to that regard upfront. You are making the borrowing from gratuity to look like something that has never happened before. We've done it before. You did it before. If you are saying it's illegal now, then you must answer the previous one first. Don't make things difficult for no reason. We are in a difficult situation. We just need to understand each other, accommodate each other, and handle this situation. Members' emolument of outstanding work that has been done so far is a commitment for the community, which is just as much a commitment to the community as salary is to the community. Yes. You are under obligation to pay salary. You are also under obligation to pay for all legal entitlement that has been done by any staff of the community, including the members of this House. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of the amendment to the motion, I welcome the amendments that has been proposed to the motion. And I think I want to sum up the entire of that amendment, coming from Honorable Namara, coming from Honorable Noor, the issue with regards to, and I have shared the motion with you for lack of any other way through our main forum. I'm seeing many of you have read that number 4, which reads that I recommend the summit to sanction partner states which default in making contributions required by Article 132.4 of the treaty. I want to amend that by saying that recommend to summit to sanction partner states in accordance with Article 143 and 146, which have, in brackets, and then you say, which have defaulted in making contribution required to Article 134.
Name the names.
So I don't need to name any names. The council and summit is well informed of the status, and I have put here in the motion earlier the figures as to what is outstanding, and council has that information. If I have the detail and breakdown of every country, I'm sure council have. I'm sure SG has that information. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the many members who have contributed to this motion, in particular Honorable Makame, Honorable Musamali, Honorable Jamatia, Honorable Kasamba, Honorable Rosa Cole, Honorable Mariam, Honorable Dr. Oburu, Honorable Gideon, Honorable Ambassador Fatuma, Honorable Wanjiku, Honorable Engineer Munya, Honorable Namara, Honorable Chris, and Honorable Muhirwa. I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Clarification, Chair.
Thank you. Who is
Clarification,
asking for
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Jamari.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, actually, I want to remind the Chair of the GP Committee that my amendment was not captured because my amendment was to go for diplomatic ways, but I'm not really supporting the sanctions way because I proposed that the Council...
Listen, Honorable Jamari.
Yeah.
You proposed an amendment. What you can do now is to be sure whether the mover has accepted it or not accepted it, or whether it was an oversight, which I will help you to do, but not to reopen the debate. So, Honorable, he moved an amendment. You can pronounce yourself on it.
Honorable Speaker, I considered that particular point, and I have a lot of regard and respect for Honorable Muhirwa. I know, and I liked his debate on this particular motion. His particular proposal, it goes against the many other issues that have been said here on issues of consensus, issues of this and that. Diplomacy will never work. He said the council must meet. Council is unable to meet now to pay me and you for the works we have done. You think they will meet to come and approve on issues of consensus on this? I with a lot of respect for Honorable Muhirwa. I have high regards for Honorable Muhirwa and his views and his bright mind. I decline this particular amendment. Thank you.
So now, can the clerk display the citation of the motion for me to put the question? Because I don't have the document with me. Honorable members, the motion before the House is for the House to pass a resolution urging partner states to honor their financial obligations to the community. Did you accept any amendment apart from that one? Did you
amend it?
Okay.
Only that one with regards
as amended.
Yeah, as amended.
Okay, as amended.
It
Let
is
me
in
repeat.
answer.
Bring the citation again so I can repeat properly for the answer. Yes, the motion before the House is for the House to pass a resolution urging partner states to honor their financial obligations to the community as amended. Those in favor, raise your hands. I think I will require that the clerk counts because I can miss the numbers. The clerk, are you counting? Are you counting? The clerk.
Right, Honorable Speaker, this is the type of motion which has to be decided by...
Okay.
By
those in favor, raise your hands again. I will look at it chapter by chapter. Honorable members, bring down your hands. Honorable members, those against, those against, Those in favor have it. Thank you. Honorable members, I am exercising my discretion to amend the order paper and to add another important item. There is a request from the council, the secretariat for that matter, for us to consider, and it can only be considered today. Now, because of the practical challenges, I am not sure the council chair, you have the document already, so you can, yes. I will ask the council chair, because I also don't have the assistance of the clerks around, to tell us what they want us to do and for us to consider.
Procedure, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Rose Jacob.
Right, Honorable Speaker, there is an urgent matter I would like to raise here, but I would like you to allot time, but in the presence of SG. And it's the issue of expired contracts for many of the EAC staff, including EALA. We actually don't have staff. If we are to look at contracts, most of them are here illegally. So that's a matter you need to raise. We need to raise to SG. You will allot time, right, and council, right, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, I understand why you are coming in now, Honorable Rose, because you think we may not have these officials next time. But let me assure you, please take the meetings of the Assembly seriously, because you are members of the Assembly. So we don't even have to rush to deal with issues for fear that next time we will not have them. No. So that is a very important matter that we cannot deal with today. We shall decide when we deal with it, and we believe they should be there when we are dealing with it. But I take note of that, and we shall have to discuss it as soon as possible. So for now, let us hear from the council chair the request they have to the Assembly so that we can deliberate on it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Well, we have a request, of course, through the chair of the council to ask you.
One moment. Do we need to extend the time for plenary to dispose of this matter? Yes, a member can move, please. Honorable Jematia, you want to move?
Procedure.
Move.
Can I hear?
Yes. Honorable Rose.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just wanted us to be alert that for us, anytime they are closing us out here, because the technical staff here have already indicated to us they want to go because of curfew. We are still under lockdown, and the curfew is on. Maybe if we could start tomorrow morning, I don't know.
No, honorable members, let us make this exercise very simple, because we have time constraint. There is a request in the form of a letter for vote on account to enable normal operations of the community in the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021. Now, we knew this communication was coming because we were working with the Secretariat. And we discussed this in the commission. And we agreed that when this request comes, I shall refer it to our committee of general purpose. So for them to deal with it tomorrow morning. So any issues that we had, please, the committee of general purpose will handle this. And in the afternoon, this matter will come to the plenary. And Honorable Kasamba and others who wanted to raise some important issues, no, I'm not asking you to speak. This will be the time. This will be the time when we are discussing what the committee of general purpose will have recommended from this request that has been brought to our attention. Please. Can we reserve our debate for
Speaker, I want to bring on a procedural issue.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, Parliament conducts its business guided by the treaty, by our rules, and by acts of Parliament. Honorable Speaker, I want to refer the House to Article 6 of the Budget Act, of the EAC Budget Act. And it's a very short one. 6.1 says the Assembly may approve a vote on account in every financial year to enable normal operations of the community in the first quarter of the new financial year and before the approval of the budget. Secondly, The vote on account shall not exceed 1/3 of the total budget of the community or of any of its institutions. Right, Honorable Speaker. Until and unless we see the estimates for 2020-2021, it will be an illegality, it will be unprocedural to pass a vote on account. It will be impossible. We are supposed to come and report back to the House tomorrow and say, yes, we allow because this request meets the threshold of 30% of the account of the budget which is before us for the previous year. We don't have that budget. What do we say 30% of? We need your guidance, Honorable Speaker, on this matter.
Yes, I will give my guidance. And please, before I give my guidance, let me request this House to be very, very dynamic as we are dealing with this matter. Because it won't be in the interest of anyone, regardless of omissions on the part of anybody. It would not be in our interest to lead this community into a situation of shutdown. We will not have, we shall have collectively failed. We shall have collectively failed if on the 1st of August there is no. Who is talking? Honorable Makame, is it your microphone or somebody else? Someone else. Sorry about that, Honorable Makame. So, I'm saying, I'm saying we have to rescue the community from falling into a situation where they will not have the budget. And if we don't act now, any expenditure on the 1st of August will be illegal. Yes. And all of us will be to blame. Because the dynamics of who did what will not matter anymore when we have not stepped in time to rescue the situation. So now we discussed this thing this matter in the commission and tried to interpret the law. In fact, based on this request from the Secretariat, we can still act, even when we do not have budget estimates. Because the interpretation of law logically would be, if the budget estimates were there, you don't possibly need these emergency measures. The reason you need these emergency measures, the reason you want this vote on account is because you do not have the budget estimates ready. So there could be more details, there could be more demands on the part of the committee. There is a lot of questions you may raise. That is why we are tasking you to deal with this matter. So don't put the cart before the horse. Go ask those questions in the committee, and you will advise the House accordingly. But whatever you do, please try to make sure that this community doesn't get driven into a shutdown. And we have only tomorrow. Yes. And this is Honorable Nur.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is a house of rules. And we need to know why we have to break our own rules. I know this is a very critical time. We are in really a very difficult situation of this COVID, and we really blame COVID for this budget to have been delayed. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, I don't want to challenge your rulings. Being a very senior member of parliamentarian for a long time, I don't want to challenge your rulings. But I have never seen somebody just sit down and collect a figure from his mind without seeing what 30% of what is he really trying to approve. Because we have not seen those estimates. And being a member of GP, I could not understand what is the logic. Where do we get the working figures from if we have not been given and we have not seen the figures up to now? So,
let me explain, Honorable Nur. There is a breakdown. It's only that this is coming just now. I wish we had seen it earlier so that we could circulate it. But I just received it now from where I am sitting. But the request is $29,402,292, and there is a breakdown attached to the request. So let us give an opportunity for the Secretariat and the Council to provide these details to the committee. Let us give the
Sawa,
opportunity
wacha wakuje
to
before us.
interrogate
Sawa.
this on our behalf.
Let-
So this
let them come
request
before
that I
us.
have, this request
Let them
that
come
I have,
tomorrow.
I'm referring it to the General Purpose Committee, and a decision was made in the morning by the commission that this committee be facilitated to meet tomorrow morning to deal with it so that we deal with it.
Procedure, Speaker.
Yes.
Procedure.
There is Honorable Mukulia who has been requesting for a long time, then I come back to Honorable Jamatia, then Honorable Rose later.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I just want to ask a question. Why don't we invoke both Article 6 and Article 12 of the Budget Act 2018?
See, honorable members, I'm not sure I'm not expressing myself properly. Why don't you bring that proposal through the committee? Because this is the whole point of referring the matter to the committee. Yes, there are so many suggestions that the committee can bring to the House. So we are referring this to the committee so that the committee can deal with those details. And any member who has an advice to make can please help the committee, because you know, we are allowed to sit in any committee. You don't have to be a member. You have an idea, you just walk in. You will not just vote. You can come there and participate, or you can advise the members. So there are so many important ideas that we need on this matter, because we have not dealt with this before. It's an unprecedented thing. But Parliament works through committees. And this is what we are doing. We are sending it to our standing committee for them to deal with all those details, so that in the afternoon during the plenary, they bring the proposal to us and we deal with it. But I welcome those ideas, Honorable Mukulia and Honorable Nur, everyone. Please put our minds together and advise the committee so that we can come with the best solution.
Procedure.
Yes.
Mine is a procedural matter, Right Honorable.
Yes, Honorable Rose.
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker. Now, for purposes of our record and the Hansard, procedurally, the Chair Council is supposed to lay this document on table, and you refer it to the committee as required. So
Yes.
that process should take place, Right Honorable. Thank you.
Estimate.
Thank you for that procedural correction. It's very, very important.
Thank you very much, Chair. I beg to lay the document accounts to enable the operation of the community in the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021.
Yes. So the document is laid, and the Hansard will capture that. And now
Right Honorable Speaker, what is the title of the document?
What's the name
of
Titled what? It should be read all in full.
Yes, read the title.
Or maybe you guide the Chair Council. Thank you.
Okay. Vote on account to enable the normal operations of the community in the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021.
That is the title, exactly what he had said. So now I officially refer this request to Committee on General Purpose. And even before the clerk communicates, may I inform you that we made a decision in the morning in the commission that this committee will sit tomorrow morning. So the clerk will give details. Honorable Order.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
But I remember I had given floor to somebody else, Jamatia. I think your issue is addressed, right? Thank you.
To request that, as a member of GP also, to request that the Secretary General and the CTC to appear in the committee, because this is a short time, we will not get enough time to discuss on this. So I wanted to request it here than for tomorrow and requesting him to come. So if he comes tomorrow, then it can make this exercise more quick and accurate than.
Yes. Thank you. I want to emphasize that when the committee is meeting tomorrow, the Secretariat must be there. And Honorable Jamatia?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Actually, Honorable Rose captured very well on one of my points. But on the same note, on these matters of estimates and procedures and everything. I have a very I'm an heavy-hearted person listening to what my SG say, what our SG say. I hope tomorrow, before we pass this, because I'm a member of GP, before
now,
we
unfortunately, you are a member, Honorable.
Before we consider this document, because I still believe it's just a document, because from the procedural way, we are going to consider it as a document before the committee. Fine, but again, I will still want my welfare to be catered to. That goes to record, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, let me clarify for the record. This request is referred to the committee, and the directive of the House to the committee is for the committee to deal with it. So now I'm not playing down the relevance of your request, but please, records should not reflect the fact that the committee can only work conditionally upon being paid the arrears. No, these are two separate issues. And Honorable Abdikadir, we have referred this matter to you, and it will come to the floor of the House, and eventually it will be the House to make a decision. So some of the issues you are raising now can actually be dealt with on the floor of the House. But I wouldn't find a procedural way to say the committee will only receipt if the Secretary General will provide certain guarantees. That's a kind of a ruling that can, a decision from my perspective that can be very vague. But when the matter comes to the floor and the members have their demands, because you need to remember that the final decision is made in the House. Yeah, so the Speaker cannot compel you to make a decision you don't want to make. If you have some demands you want to put forward at that time, it will be quite in order. But for purposes of respecting our rules, when we send the work to the committee, we believe it will be done the right way. So thank you so much, honorable members. I now adjourn the House. SG, you wanted to say something before you adjourn? Yes, SG.
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. When we spoke about estimates, I thought I should bring some clarification. I'm sure all of you know that the budget process started a long time ago. At the end of December, we submitted our budget to the partner states, and since then, the partner states met here in Arusha through the Finance Administration Committee. So we have estimates, and these estimates have been discussed by all the partner states and agreed upon. And in the discussion on the budget, even EALA members, EALA staff are there. So just to let you know that we are not, we have some figures that can be discussed. So there are some estimates. And I thought it was important to know that there has been already a long process that we have gone through before reaching this stage. And also, my brother Abdikadir, Honorable Abdikadir, who has been very tough with me today, I really want to assure the members, the Secretariat has no interest whatsoever to frustrate anyone. No interest whatsoever. At the Secretariat, we are not borrowing to pay salaries. We have been able to cover our salaries, and we'll be able to cover salaries for July. It just turns out that this has happened at EALA, and when there is no money, of course, these kind of issues come on surface. So, Honor Abdikadir and other members, this time we don't have liquidity. We don't have liquidity, and I really want all of you to know that. And what we have been requesting, I hope the message went through
Mr. Speaker,
clearly.
procedure.
Point of order.
SG,
Procedure.
Please, can you, SG, please, I think these matters we discussed already.
Out of
But
order.
because
Please, I will not allow.
Procedure.
No, please. Honorable SG, you are going to meet the committee tomorrow.
Yes.
And you can really discuss all these issues. And in the afternoon, you should also be there in the plenary. So we can still have another opportunity because we can't reopen the debate at this point. It will be very difficult.
Just procedure, Mr. Speaker, procedure.
Yes, Dr. Makame.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, the issue about July salaries which have not been passed, where are they coming from? That's what I want to know because
how is that a procedural issue
for 2021? 2021.
Dr. Makame, how is it a procedural issue? Is it a procedural issue?
Because it has not passed in the House. How can it be? How can it be discussed here unless we are told that it is an information which is assumed?
But do we normally discuss salaries? Because I think my understanding is that you wanted to make your point, and because you know I am compelled by the rules to allow you when you raise a procedural issue, that's what you chose to do. Yeah. Okay. But I think the point is, there are two requests, and that is why I don't want to open a Pandora's box on this. There are two requests. There is a request for salaries, there is a request for other areas. So there is a tendency to treat that other component as if it is less important. That is my reading. Please, these requests, they are all important because they are all rights of members. So when you are considering them, there is no first priority, second priority. They are all important. If there is any approach that will treat one component as if it is a favor, it is not, because these are matters that are in the rights contracts of members of this House. So please, that is what we want to emphasize, and without prejudice to any procedural aspect, because we are a House that must respect procedures. We shall not hold anybody accountable, pushing him to act against the procedure. But we shall collectively push you to make decisions when you have to make decisions. So I adjourn the House until tomorrow at 2:30.
Procedure, right, Honorable Speaker. I had an issue addressed. I had an issue addressed of salaries, of contracts for members, for staff.
Tomorrow.
He has gone. Let us go. He has.
The House been adjourned, Honorable Cole. See you tomorrow.
Check us.